Nepal commemorates 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah with national unity and tribute ceremonies. Nepali Congress holds historic special general convention amidst youth and rebellion and leadership conflicts in party's 80-year history. Dozen Rashtriya Swatantra Party candidates pull out of proportional representation list ahead of final election submissions. Son of Iran's ex-Shah calls for continued demonstrations as authorities crack down on nationwide protests. Bushfires ravage Southeast Australia, destroy 300 homes and buildings, prompt state of emergency. And top men's tennis stars Alcaraz and Sinner fine-tune games in Melbourne ahead of record-burst Australian Open. Good evening, I'm Bijata Bhandari and this is NTV World Primetime News, coming to you live from Kathmandu at 1900 hours Nepal time. Across the globe, it is 1:15 p.m. in London, 10:15 p.m. in Tokyo, and just after midnight in Sydney. Now the news in detail. Nepal today celebrates the 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah, the monarch who unified modern Nepal, on the occasion of Prithvi Jayanti and National Unity Day. A special ceremony was held at his statue outside of the west gate of Singha Darbar, where President Ramchandra Paudel, Vice President Ram Sahai Prasad Yadav, Prime Minister Sushila Karki, ministers and other leaders laid floral wreaths to honour the nation builder. Chief Justice Prakash Man Singh Raut and National Assembly Chair Narayan Prasad Dahal also participated, joined by senior officials, members of parliament and the general public. Processions from across the city featuring national flags, portraits of King Shah and traditional bands converged at the statue. In Gorkha, Shah's birthplace, special events were organized to mark the day, while the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party hosted a tea reception for the top leaders and dignitaries. King Shah, born in 1779 Bikram Sambat, ascended the throne at 20, led the unification campaign and laid the foundation for Nepal's sovereignty. Today, his legacy is remembered for promoting unity, national independence, and the principles of good governance. Prime Minister Sushila Karki has participated in a tea reception hosted today by the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party or RPP on the occasion of the National Unity Day and Prithvi Jayanti. RPP Chairperson Rajendra Lingden, among other leaders, welcomed Prime Minister Karki. Minister for Communications and Information Technology Jagdish Kharel, leaders of different political parties, heads and representatives of diplomatic missions and leaders of different sectors of the society were also present on the occasion. Moving on, the Nepali Congress has begun a special convention at Phikuti Mandap in Kathmandu. Speakers at the inauguration emphasized that the gathering aims to end internal factionalism that persists within the party despite the country's current challenges. Participants arrived from across the Kathmandu Valley with processions and cultural displays. Organizers say roughly 60% of the party's representatives from across Nepal are expected to take part. Following the Gen Z movement, changing political dynamics have prompted calls to reform and advance the party, with 54% of delegates submitting signatures in favor of the special convention. Party secretaries Gagan Kumar Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma said that the convention is being held as per party statutes, since regular conventions were not conducted. Meanwhile, some party leaders are reportedly attempting to reconcile differing factions. For only the second time in its more than 80-year history, Nepal's most influential political party, the Nepali Congress, has convened a special general convention. While the excitement around the event is somewhat subdued, it marks an unprecedented moment in the party's history. emerging from a bitter conflict between rebellious youth factions and the party's hardline leadership. Sabika Shrestha reports from Bhikuti Mandap.
The Special General Convention of Nepali Congress that kicked off in Kathmandu against the decision of the Work Execution Committee 2 weeks ago will enter the business end on Monday only. The Special General Convention, being held only for the second time in the 80-year-long history of the party, has backing of more than 54% General Convention representatives. Though the opening day only saw addresses from the party leaders who were univocal in demanding change in the leadership, the closed session scheduled for Monday will be crucial for the future of the party. Initiated by the two General Secretaries Gagan Thapa and Vishwaprakash Sarma, this Special General Convention has gradually got the backing from the leaders who were earlier guardians of the inception side. Prominent leaders from inception side including Binod Chaudhary, Dila Sangraula, Uday Samser Rana, Devendra Raj Karnel, Pushpa Bhushal, Gopal Man Shrestha, Arjun Narsingh Kesi and Prakash Man Singh were also seen in this special convention. Though the inception side leaders have not appeared or commented on the Special General Convention, they were eagerly watching the developments at Bhikuti Mandap. The Special General Convention comes at a politically sensitive time as parties prepare for upcoming elections. The establishment, led by party president Sher Bahadur Deuwa, said that it would weaken the party ahead of the elections. Supporters of the convention, on the other hand, argue that it is fully grounded in the party statute and will further strengthen the party as per the spirit of the recent Gen Z movement. From early morning, party cadres and delegates organized rallies and processions from multiple locations across the Kathmandu Valley. While it remains uncertain whether it will immediately lead to leadership changes, the outcome is widely seen as a critical test for party unity and the balance of power between the reformist youth faction and the long-dominant establishment camp. Another major question at the moment lies on what will happen if Monday's closed session officially announces a split in the party. Will that be accepted by the Election Commission that has almost finalized the closest list of parties for proportional election? The legalities and beyond do not seem to be the concern at the moment for the special convention organizers, who, despite claiming that the party will remain intact, are pushing for the change in the leadership. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
We will take a short break here. More news coming up. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World Primetime News. Several candidates from the Rashtriya Swatantra Party who were listed under the proportional representation system have announced that they are withdrawing their candidacies. Among them are Sirjana Oli Sirju, Mahindra Lawati, Dr. Arniko Pandey, Tashi Sherpa, Trishala Gurung, Asif Sa, Sachin Thakal, Milan Limbu, Sudesh Gurung, Mohana Ansari, Sajan Bika, and the party's Deputy General Secretary Bipin Kumar Acharya. While these announcements have been made through social media and various news outlets, the Election Commission has clarified that a candidate's withdrawal will only be official once the proper procedures are completed with the Commission. The Commission has also outlined that political parties have until the 11th of January to finalize their lists, and candidates wishing to withdraw can submit their applications for withdrawal on the 12th. These developments are part of the ongoing adjustments as parties finalize their proportional representation nominations ahead of the elections. Moving on, dense fog and dropping temperatures are affecting daily life in Nepal's Tarai Madhesh region. Fog is particularly thick in the early mornings and evenings, causing severe disruptions to both road and air travel. Some flights, especially in the western Tarai, have faced delays due to the reduced visibility, though midday flights are operating normally. Schools in several districts have been closed as the cold wave and fog make mornings and evenings particularly harsh. Meteorologists say while the conditions are gradually improving, no significant rainfall is expected in the immediate future.
तर 2 दिन जस्तो अस्ति एक दिन 3-4 वटा जहाज यहाँ आएर भैरवा विमानस्थल पुगेको थियो तर अवतरण गर्न नसकेर फर्के र सुरुमा पुसको पहिलो हप्तामा पनि 2 वटा जति उडान यहाँ आएर फर्केका थिए
जनकपुर वीरगञ्ज र भैरवामा चाहिँ अलिकति चाहिँ हुस्टुकुरो देखेको छ बिहानको समयमा अहिलेसम्म देखेको छ भने दिउँसो चाहिँ खुलेको अवस्था छ अझै एक हप्ता चाहिँ त्यस्तो वर्षा हुने कुनै पनि प्रणाली छैन त्यसले गर्दाखेरि अलिकति हिउँदयाम चाहिँ सुक्खा नै विगतको वर्षदेखि नै अलि सुक्खा एउटा औषध वर्षा हुनु पर्यो त्यो चाहिँ वर्षा भएको अवस्था छ
Dense fog is also slowing down road traffic, increasing the risk of accidents and adding to the difficulties faced by the commuters across the region. In a historic move for Nepal's rivers, the Sati Ghat stretch of the Karnali River has been declared the country's first ever fish sanctuary, aiming to protect endangered aquatic species and secure the livelihoods of traditional fishing communities. A report.
In a landmark step toward aquatic biodiversity conservation in Nepal, the Sati Ghat area of the Karnali River has been declared the country's first ever fish sanctuary. The Karnali River, which forms the natural boundary between Bardia and Kailali districts in western Nepal, is considered one of the most important river systems for freshwater biodiversity in the country. The Karnali River is home to around 197 recorded fish species and provides a vital habitat for the breeding of indigenous and endangered aquatic species, making it a nationally significant conservation area. It also provides critical habitat for nationally protected aquatic species such as the Gangetic dolphin, otter, and the gharial crocodiles. The fish sanctuary covers an area of approximately 4 square kilometers around the Sati Ghat bridge and was jointly declared by Rajapur municipality of Bardia and Tikapur municipality of Kailali. In recent years, Nepal's river ecosystems have faced increasing pressure due to riverbed excavation, the use of large and illegal fishing nets, and destructive fishing practices involving use of poison and electric current. The country has developed policies like the National Fisheries Development Policy 2022 aligning with biodiversity conservation. Nepal also holds a significant position in biodiversity, consistently ranking around 49th in the world for overall species richness. Despite these activities, continuous decline in fish population and other species has been on decline in the Karnali River. The decline has also threatened the traditional livelihoods of indigenous communities such as the Sonaha and Raji. By restricting indiscriminate fishing and other harmful activities, the sanctuary is expected to contribute significantly to the conservation of Nepal's freshwater ecosystems. Rosina Rai with the local correspondent Dil Prakash Gautam, Bardia, Nepal.
It's now time for international news. Protesters in Iran defied a deadly government crackdown on Saturday night, taking to the streets despite reports suggesting hundreds of people have been killed or wounded by the security forces in the past 3 days. The country's Attorney General Mohammad Movahedi Azad said on Saturday that anyone protesting would be considered an enemy of God, an offence that carries the death penalty. More than 2,500 people have been arrested since the protests began on 28 December, according to a human rights group. The protests were sparked by soaring inflation and have spread to more than 100 cities and towns across every province in Iran. Now protesters are calling for an end to the clerical rule of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei has dismissed demonstrators as a bunch of vandals seeking to please US President Donald Trump. Trump has threatened to hit Iran very hard if they start killing people. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakir Kalibaf on Sunday warned that if the US attacks Iran, Israel and all US military and shipping bases in the region will be legitimate targets for Iran to attack. In a video message on social media, Reza Pahlavi, the US-based son of Iran's ousted Shah, tells protesters not to abandon the streets and that he will soon be by their side.
خیابانها را رها نکنید. قلب و روحم با شماست و می‌دانم که به زودی در کنار شما خواهم بود.
At least 192 protesters have been killed in Iran's biggest movement against the Islamic Republic in more than 3 years, a rights group said on Sunday, as warnings grew that authorities were committing a massacre to quell the demonstrations. The protests, initially sparked by anger over the rising cost of living, have now become a movement against the theocratic system in place in Iran since the 1979 revolution and have already lasted 2 weeks. The US and its partner forces have carried out large-scale strikes against Islamic State group targets in Syria, according to the US Central Command. US President Donald Trump directed the strikes on Saturday, which are part of the Operation Hawkeye strike, in retaliation to the IS's deadly attack on US forces in Syria on 13th December, according to the CENTCOM. The strikes were conducted in an effort to combat terrorism and protect US and partner forces in the region. The official added that aircraft including F-15Es, A-10s, AC-130Js, MQ-9s and Jordanian F-16s had taken part in the strikes. The location of the strikes and the extent of any casualties is not yet clear. Syria has been in a fragile state since the fall of President Bashar al-Assad's regime in December 2024, which effectively ended a civil war that had ravaged the country for 13 years. Ukrainian emergency services are responding to overnight Russian drone strikes in the Kharkiv region. In Movicheny village, 4 people were injured as fires broke out across 150 square meters of the residential area. Rescue teams, sappers, medics and the local fire brigade are working to contain the flames and assess damage to the homes. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, residents are sheltering in emergency heating tents after strikes damaged critical infrastructure, leaving thousands without power, heat and water. Authorities report about 400 people a day are using heating points in the Desnyansky district to stay warm, charge devices and receive the food. President Zelensky says the situation remains difficult nationwide, with repair crews working around the clock to restore the essential services. Moving on, at least 6 persons have been killed after a gas cylinder explosion ripped through a house in a predominantly Christian neighborhood of Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, according to the authorities. The blast destroyed parts of the residence and damaged nearby structures, prompting an emergency response from the rescue workers, police and security personnel. Teams were seen inspecting the rubble and searching the area to ensure no additional victims were trapped. Officials said that the explosion was caused by a gas cylinder, though investigations are underway to determine the exact circumstances. The injured were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. The incident has renewed concerns over household gas safety in densely populated residential areas of Islamabad. Time now for a short break. We will be right back. Voters in Myanmar cast ballots in the second stage of an election dominated so far by a party backed by the ruling military. Many of the areas and polling stations have seen clashes in recent months or remain under heightened security, underscoring the risks surrounding the vote. Voting began at around 6 a.m. local time in constituencies including Kormu, the former seat of deposed civilian leader Aung San Suu Kyi, where voters were seen queuing to cast ballots. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party, which swept the last election in 2020, has been dissolved along with dozens of other anti-junta parties for failing to register for the latest polls, while the rebel groups have refused to take part. The election is being held in 3 phases due to the armed conflicts. The first round took place on December 28 in 102 of the country's total 330 townships, followed by the second phase on Sunday. A final round is scheduled for January 25, although 65 townships will not take part because of the fighting. 1 person has died and 300 homes and buildings have been destroyed in bushfires that have torn across the southeast Australia. The fires have raged in dozens of locations across the country for several days, mostly in the state of Victoria but also in New South Wales, burning through land almost twice the size of the Greater London. A state of emergency has been declared in Victoria as thousands of firefighters and more than 70 aircraft battled the blaze. Residents in more than a dozen communities have been advised to leave their homes. The authorities fear that the blazes, which are being fueled by very hot, dry and windy conditions, could burn for several weeks. Hopes of finding survivors are fading days after a massive mountain of trash collapsed in the Cebu city in central Philippines. Rescue workers recovered a body on Sunday, bringing the confirmed death toll to 7, while at least 29 people remain missing. The tragedy struck Thursday when about 50 sanitation workers were buried under garbage toppled from an estimated 20-story height at the Binali landfill, a privately operated facility serving the city. Authorities say the crucial 72-hour window for the survival has now passed. So far, 12 workers have been rescued and hospitalized. The ongoing rain and the shifting mountain of garbage have made the rescue operations extremely dangerous, forcing emergency teams to pause at times. Worshippers in Japan took part in a traditional cold water purification ritual at the Teppozu Inari Shrine in Tokyo to mark the new year, braving low temperatures to cleanse their bodies and souls. The annual ceremony, known as the Misoji, involves participants wearing traditional garments and dousing themselves with cold water while offering prayers. The ritual is rooted in Shinto belief and is intended to purify the spirit, promote good health, and bring good fortune for the year ahead. Despite the cold conditions, dozens of participants gathered at the shrine early in the day, chanting and praying before stepping under the streams of the icy water. Shrine officials said that the practice symbolizes the removal of impurities accumulated over the past year. The New Year purification ritual continues to draw participants from various age groups, reflecting the enduring role of traditional spiritual practices in the modern Japanese society. More international and sports update up next. We will be right back. Infrared cameras in the Giant Panda National Park in southwest China's Sichuan province captured footage of a wild giant panda mother and her cub roaming in a snowing bamboo forest on Thursday. The footage shows that the two wild giant pandas roaming calmly in the forest at an elevation of about 2,800 meters above the sea level in the Chongzhou section of the national park. The mother panda occasionally turns back to check on her cub while the young one follows closely behind. Judging by the body size, experts from the park said that the panda cub was probably born in 2025 and is less than 1 year old. In July 2025, infrared cameras in the park also captured a wild giant panda foraging in the bamboo forest on 4 separate occasions. Currently, nearly 1,900 giant pandas are living in the wild in China. The Giant Panda National Park protects approximately 1,340 wild giant pandas and also serves as a sanctuary for over 8,000 other rare and sympatric species, including the golden snub-nosed monkey, snow leopard, dove tree, and the Chinese yew. Apart from the giant pandas, infrared cameras in Chongzhou section of the park also recorded more than 20 animals under the first and second state protection at altitudes ranging from 750 to 2,700 meters from May to mid-December 2025, including Sichuan takin, Asian black bear, Temminck's tragopan, and the Chinese coral. The Cherry Blossom Festival 2026 has attracted a large number of visitors to Vietnam's northern province of Dien Bien. The event is centered around the blooming of more than 300,000 cherry blossom trees, which have created sweeping pink and white landscapes that have drawn tourists and photographers from across the region. Festival organizers said that the 3-day program combines natural scenery with cultural and community activities. This year's offerings include displays of traditional costumes, ethnic handicrafts, folk games, and hands-on experiences aimed at highlighting the heritage of local Thai, Hmong, and the Khmer communities. The festival forms part of the broader efforts to promote tourism in the mountainous northwest, where cherry blossom viewing, a concept inspired by the Japanese Sakura festivals, has become an increasingly popular winter attraction. In addition to floral displays, Vietnamese authorities and tourism officials have organized cultural events and community tourism initiatives to capitalize on the growing interest in the region's natural and ethnic heritage. Time now for sports update. Top men's tennis stars Carlos Alcaraz and Jannik Sinner have stepped up preparations for the 2026 Australian Open, the season's first Grand Slam, with final practice sessions in Melbourne following early season build-ups and exhibition play. Alcaraz, the world #1, and Sinner, world's #2, and the two-time defending Australian Open champion, have been training on the courts in Melbourne after arriving in the city ahead of the tournament, which begins on January 18. Both players were listed on official practice schedules as they fine-tune their games and adapt to the local conditions at the Melbourne Park. Their appearances in practice sessions reflect their status as frontrunners for the title at the Hardcourt Grand Slam, where Sinner seeks a third straight crown and Alcaraz aims to complete a career Grand Slam, a milestone that has eluded him to date. Australian Open tournament organisers announced a record $111.5 million Australian dollars prize money pool, the largest in the event's history. Mohamed Salah was once again on the score sheet as Egypt beat holders Ivory Coast 3-2 in an enthralling and action-packed quarter-final at the 2025 Africa Cup of Nations. Salah described the victory over the defending champions Ivory Coast as a perfect win, hailing his teammates after qualifying for the semi-finals. Egypt will face Senegal on Wednesday in Tangier for a place in the final in a repeat of the 2021 AFCON final. The result means Salah's bid for a first continental crown with his country is still on course. Now 33, he will have to do it the hard way from here if he is to finally lift the trophy, with either Nigeria or Morocco waiting in any potential final on Sunday, 18th January. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Nepal commemorates 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah with national unity and tribute ceremonies. Nepali Congress holds historic special general convention amidst youth rebellion and leadership conflicts in party's 80-year history. Dozen Rashtriya Swatantra Party candidates pull out of proportional representation list ahead of the final election submissions. Son of Iran's ex-Shah calls for continued demonstrations as authorities crack down on nationwide protests. Bushfires ravage Southeast Australia, destroy 300 homes and buildings, and prompt a state of emergency. And top men's tennis stars Alcaraz and Sinner fine-tune games in Melbourne ahead of record burst Australian Open. That's all for the moment. Our next bulletin will be at 2200 hours Nepal time. Do join us through our social media and get the latest updates from our official website at nepaltelevision.com. I'm Vishata Bhandari. Thank you for staying with us. Have a wonderful evening ahead.
Welcome to the studios of NTV World in Kathmandu, Public Service Broadcasting PSB Nepal's new initiative to make Nepal more visible and audible to the global audience. Welcome on board.
This is NTV World, facts that speak, insights that matter.
Telling the stories of a changing planet. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Exploring the heartbeat of Nepali creativity. This is NTV World.
The power of story shaped by technology. NTV World.
Unearthing Nepal's hidden heritage. Discovering the timeless Nepal.
Telling stories that endure across centuries, where culture breathes, stories bloom.
When the world moves, we make a sense of it. NTV World.
Taste of Nepal. Every recipe, every flavor tells the story.
Journalism in the digital age. Fast, focused, verified.
Stories hold power. Stories reflecting life. Stories of the hinterlands. Reporting for NTV World.
This is NTV World. Welcome to News Hour.
This is NTV World. Welcome to Primetime News.
One story at a time.
Crossing borders, connecting voices, where Nepal meets the world in dialogue. This is NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Voices that connect Nepal to the world, bringing perspective, region and relevance to every story. NTV World, Nepal's perspective to the world.
Stand by. Mic is on.
3, 2, 1, cue.
We are NTV World.
A city known for its legacy, Kirtipur. Locals also call it Kipu in their own dialect. It is the largest ancient settlement after Kathmandu, Lalitpur and Bhaktapur. The city still has an impressive Malla era neighborhood. It is also home to Taudaha, the largest lake in the Kathmandu Valley. There are temples, monasteries, bihars, and stupas for both Hindu and Buddhist devotees, along with countless festivals and ritual celebrations that altogether give Kirtipur its distinct and special character. With its ancient Newar settlements, this place is a beautiful convergence of Newar culture and heritage. The 2nd century settlements here, the temples and the stupas, along with the legends and the faiths surrounding them, are fascinating. Situated beside the Kathmandu Valley, which once was a natural lake itself, Kirtipur developed as a flourishing hub of early settlement and culture. Because of this, the area is exceptionally valuable for historical and cultural study. A long time ago, the children of Kirtipur's farming families apparently made a clay tiger to play with while herding sheep and goats. To make that tiger look even more lifelike, they wanted to add a tongue. So they left their sheep and goats nearby and went into the forest to gather leaves for it. Upon returning, the children found their sheep and goats missing. And when they investigated, the clay tiger opened its blood-red mouth and claimed to have eaten the animals. Apparently, what had happened was that the deity Bhairav, a Hindu deity, had entered the clay tiger. In their anger, the children then cursed the clay tiger so that its mouth would remain perpetually open. This is the famous legend behind the Bagh Bhairav temple as remembered by the residents of Kirtipur. Bagh Bhairav is the revered deity of Kirtipur's residents. Situated in Kirtipur, this temple is accompanied by several smaller temples, many of which can be traced back to the 2nd century according to the historical records. Among them are temples dedicated to Yamaleshwar, Narayan, Bhavani Shankar, Ramchandra, Manavinayak, Vishwakarma, Sridhar Vishnu and Mool Ganesh, all of which were constructed in the 2nd century as per many inscriptions. The historical records mention that the Bagh Bhairav temple, originally made by Shivadev, was again renovated in the 16th century by Jagatpal Varma into a 3-tiered pagoda style. This makes the temple a central attraction of Kirtipur. Most Newar settlements, which are one of Nepal's ethnic groups, are adorned with temples and stupas. So Kirtipur is home to countless temples and stupas as well, too many to count by hand. The Uma Maheshwar temple here is located at the highest point in Kirtipur. From here, one can take in panoramic views of the entire Kathmandu Valley. Swayambhu, an ancient Buddhist stupa, is clearly visible from this vantage point. It is said that the temple's elevation is roughly the same as that of Swayambhu's. On clear days, the world's highest peak, Mount Everest, can also be seen from here. Uma Maheshwar, representing the Hindu deities of Shiva and Parvati in another form, is considered a symbol of family happiness and love. The temple's tiered roofs, its design, the surrounding houses, and the views are not only beautiful but also reflect its historical significance. It is an excellent place to explore and spend an entire day. Kirtipur is special not only for Hindu devotees but also for Buddhists. Its stupas and vihars are ideal for the study, research, and promotion of Buddhism. The Chilancho stupa, located atop the hill, is said by historians to have been built during Emperor Ashok's visit to Nepal. Its renovation, however, took place in the 16th century during the time of Jagatpal Varma. This site is ideal for prayer and meditation. It feels like Chilancho spreads wisdom along with its flowers. In Panga of Kirtipur, there is a cremation site. The deceased of the Panga community are cremated here, but this place is different from others. According to local tradition, one cannot stay behind after setting the body on fire. Normally, in other places in Hindu tradition, after the cremation, the ashes are collected after a process that can take up to hours. Here, however, bodies are covered with 9 pieces of wood for adults and 7 for children, along with water-soaked straw. Then the fire is lit before it is time to leave the site. This tradition is only for the people of Panga. Next to the burial ground stands the Vishnu Devi temple, one of the several Shakti Peeth or sacred power sites of the people of Kirtipur. This stupa houses the Pancha Buddha, the depiction of 5 knowledge of Buddha. Facing east is Akshobhya, mounted on an elephant and with earth-touching gestures. The area is peaceful and known for its spiritual atmosphere. Kirtipur is not only famous for its monasteries and chaityas, it is also rich in history and culture. This place is known for its year-round festivals, rituals, and vibrant cultural way of life. Among the important festivals, are the Satgaunle Jatra, Gai Jatra, Bagh Bhairav Jatra, and Indrayani Jatra. On the day of Gai Jatra, a special dance is performed here. The Dhya Dhya Papa dance, also called Kathmarg, is a ceremonial performance where dancers in unique costumes move to traditional music. It is an integral part of Kirtipur's cultural identity. Here, visitors can also find various hotels, homestays, and Newari restaurants. The Newari-style houses and pathways decorated with traditional materials are truly captivating, and the popular Newari restaurants, which draw people from all around, are plentiful. A beautiful example of Newari culture is Newari food, which include famous dishes like bara, yumari, and samay bhaji. And visitors relish these dishes with great enjoyment. Just before entering Kirtipur, you arrive at another beautiful spot, Taudaha. Known for its environmental, cultural, and religious significance, this pond stretches about 500 meters in length and 400 meters in width. It is said to be shaped like a funnel. Believed to be dwelling place of Karkotak Nag, a serpent king in Hindu-Buddhist mythology, this lake is closely linked to the legends of Manjushri, a Hindu-Buddhist mythological figure, and the Rato Machindranath Jatra, one of Nepal's oldest chariot festivals. According to the folklore, when the Kathmandu Valley was still a lake, Manjushri cut open the hills to draw the water. The serpents living there were left without a home, so Bhimsen, a powerful heroic figure in Nepali folklore, created Taudaha to shelter them. The famous photo or vest displayed during the Rato Machindranath Jatra also traces its origins to Karkotak Nagraj and Taudaha. Legend says the vest belonged to Karkotak Nagraj, who gifted it to a farmer after the farmer cured his sick serpent queen. When the farmer later lost the vest, the dispute over who truly owned it became the story behind the festival where the vest is displayed. Taudaha is rich not only in religious and cultural significance but also in biodiversity. The area is home to 38 species of plants, 36 species of insects, and 116 types of birds. Swans gliding across the lake, birds perched in nearby trees, colorful fish swimming below, and small snakes seen occasionally along the banks. All of it make it easy to lose track of time while observing this vibrant ecosystem. In winter, birds migrate here from Siberia, Mongolia, and Tibet to escape the cold. Species such as lahari, kalihas, khoya, malak, and birds like great cormorant and Indian pond heron are also found here at Taudaha. These migratory birds travel thousands of kilometers from various countries to reach this lake. As a wetland area, Taudaha hosts water, land, vegetation, aquatic animals, amphibians, and other wildlife all in one place. For this reason, the lake attracts everyone from casual tourists to students conducting research. As tourist numbers increase, so have vendors selling fish feed around Taudaha. These traders who stay around the lake from morning to evening occasionally also encounter snakes. But believing the snakes to represent Karkotak Nagraj, the traders drive them away by just burning incense. Just before reaching Taudaha, Chobar is a unique tourist spot in Kirtipur. Manjushri Park here is one of the popular picnic destinations. The cave, Chobar Gorge, Suspension Bridge, Jalvinayak Temple and Adinath Lokeshwar Temple are all must-visit sites. This gorge is said to be where Manjushri cut the hills to drain water from the Kathmandu Valley, making it suitable for human settlement. Therefore, this place holds historical and mythological significance. Jalvinayak Temple is located along the Bagmati River. Among Kathmandu Valley's four main Ganesh temples, Surya Vinayak, Chandra Vinayak, and Ashok Vinayak, Jalvinayak is one of them. It is built in traditional pagoda style. Toran or archways, tudal or roof struts, and gajur or pinnacles enhance its architectural beauty. So this temple is significant both for religious faith and for historical and architectural value. Spread over 14.76 square kilometers, Kirtipur has many places to explore, which cannot be fully visited in a single day. Its heritage, lifestyle, and festivals are all unique. To guide tourists before visiting, a tourist information and service center has been established. It lies near the Kirtipur's entry point. This center provides information about major tourist attractions and helps make the visit easier. Exploring Kirtipur's historical, religious, cultural, and natural sites is incredibly enchanting. These sites are witnesses to history. For research and study, visiting Kirtipur is essential. The local lifestyle, daily life, the breeze, and the scent of the soil here, all of it are very special. In modern times, as ancient civilizations threaten to vanish, Kirtipur strives to maintain its ancient identity. Its monasteries, temples, chaityas, ponds, markets, and even the language reflect this heritage. Kirtipur is not just a tourist destination. It offers experiences of meditation and knowledge, and of peace and beauty. Its stories and hospitality attract everyone. To witness and feel the unique confluence of history, culture, and nature, visiting Kirtipur is a must, not just once, but again and again.
Hello, welcome to Declassified Beyond the Brief on NTV World. I'm Devendra Subedi. In this episode, we try to explore a young Nepali artist's journey from Kathmandu to the global stage. Her journey from scribbling pictures in canvas to becoming the first contemporary Nepali artist to be included in the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, United States, in itself is fascinating. We will try to explore art, its forms, the artist herself, her life and work, and that is no less than an example for all the budding artists. Let's welcome Sneha Shrestha, aka Imagine.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Let's start with this Imagine thing.
Sure.
Can you explain what this Imagine exactly is?
Sure. I mean, when I was first introduced to art as a young adult after graduating from college, I was really introduced to graffiti. And a lot of times graffiti artists have sort of what is called a street name. And when my mentor at that time asked me to choose a name, you know, I really didn't have an idea. But then I thought of what was closest to my heart. And I automatically thought of my mom. And my mom's name is Kalpana. And so when you translate Kalpana into English, it means imagination.
Is that what you're wearing right now?
Yes, actually. Yeah.
So
this says Kalpana, and, you know, it's my way of keeping my mom close to my heart. And every time I sign my name, I get to write her name.
You were influenced by graffiti, as you said, and now sculpture also you are pursuing, and you are mural painter as well. You have followed different forms, the art, right? The name itself, this name that you have chosen, doesn't sound graffitish-like, but closer to your roots, your families. Was that something worked on or thought about?
Yeah, I wanted to choose something that felt like me. I didn't want, and I also needed like a shorter name, so like Imagine instead of Imagination made sense. And really my family and where I come from is really what roots me into my work. And so it made sense.
I'm really excited to have you here in our studios in Kathmandu. We caught you as you were here in Kathmandu for some project work, as you said. What is art exactly, Sneha? How should we define art? I know it's a very abstract term. This could have multiple understanding and interpretations, but how would you, as a performing artist, define art?
Well, as a visual artist, I would define art as self-expression. It's a way of sharing how I see the world.
Just that much?
Yeah.
What about the feelings?
I mean, that is like, that includes everything, right? Like how I see the world, how I'm feeling about it, how I want people to see what I'm seeing. I think it's a powerful form of self-expression.
Art is something you are interested in or you like. When was the first memories of drawing something? When was it?
I think my first memory was watching my mom translate these English children's books into Nepali children's books. It was a time where there weren't a lot of Nepali children's books, right? So I remember, you know, the story of the ant and the grasshopper. I remember it was, you know, my mom was translating these books. She would write them in Nepali, and then she would draw them into like large books. She was a teacher. She was a teacher, and so she would take that to her. She was my Nepali teacher, actually, and so she would take it to the classroom and teach us in Nepali, but she would make it exciting, right? If you think about the books, even till now, textbooks and maybe texts on newspapers kind of look similar. Right? But then the way she would draw these pictures larger than life and the letters, you know, like much larger so that kids can read it. I think that was my like really, you know, first memory of like being fascinated by what colors can do, what these like broken pieces of color pencils can do on paper. But I mean, I've loved art and painting really all my life. So I think it was just a matter of, you know, will I do
When
this?
would I just discover it?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a thing where I was like, I want to be an artist.
Was there somebody who saw the brighter side of your painting and told you that you should be doing this when you were a child?
That's a good question. I think I found myself getting drawn to painting all the time. It's just something that I loved doing, regardless of whether I had an art class or not. I just found myself doing it all the time. Even when I went to college, I had my, I majored in globalization studies. But in addition to that, I would find myself sneaking in art classes and making time for that. And so I just knew that that's something that felt like me, and I was just gravitated by it.
Any specific elements that that you draw inspiration in your present day, let's say, art, Nepali culture, something that is rooted in something that is pretty Nepali-like?
Yeah, I think everything about my work is kind of rooted into where I come from, how I grew up in Kathmandu, my household, what my mom and dad showed me that is part of my, our tradition and culture as Newari people. I think it is hard to represent a whole country, being given that our country is so diverse. We speak more than 100 languages just inside Nepal, so it's impossible for me to represent the whole of Nepal. But what I realize is that I can tell the story of how I grew up, and hopefully other people can resonate with that. It really came from the need of expressing myself in terms of who I am. Because usually, I think even till this day when you're in the US, people are like, okay, you're from Nepal, oh, Mount Everest. That's about it, right? Yeah. And so how do I explain that I don't live anywhere close to Mount Everest? No, I haven't climbed it. Yes, I've seen it, but that doesn't tell my whole story. That doesn't tell your story. It doesn't tell my story, right? So I think it came from a struggle of saying, how do I tell people who I am? Where do I even start? I think that struggle became real over time. And I think art really helped me talk about, this is, how my mom does things at home. These are the colors that I was surrounded by growing up. These are temple, shapes of like different temples that is part of our, everyday architecture in Kathmandu. When you're walking around, there's a temple here, there's a temple there. There's so much fabric, like celebratory fabric around. And I think that's what I wanted to share. Because your identity isn't just one thing, it's all these things you're surrounded by, you grew up with. So I think that's where it really came from.
Tell me something about your fascination for that particular script.
Sure.
Because that connects to what you said just now. I'm fed up answering the question that I'm not somewhere near from Mount Everest. But you translated your art, you brought that into your art, expressing your culture. Somewhere there, very close to that. Is it your answer to that question by adopting that Devanagari in your art? Sure,
it feels closer to answering the question that I've ever gotten to, because Nepali letters are, I can confidently tell someone that these are Nepali letters. It's based in the Devanagari script. Devanagari script is used to write Nepali and Sanskrit and Hindi, and Sanskrit is one of the oldest written forms of languages in the world. And the fact that we can write Devanagari so casually, like a kid can write in Devanagari, like Nepali so casually, it's really a point of cultural pride for me to look at my native letters and be like, look, this is so important. So much of history is based on this. So much of written history is based on this. This is really something special, guys. Like, look at this. So getting to say that and being excited about it really got me started.
Everybody is an artist somewhere in the heart, they say, but until somebody recognizes it. Do you remember when was your first work of art? Somebody said that, yes, this is awesome. You should make more and more of it. Do you remember when was that moment?
That's such a good question. I'm smiling. I'm like smiling because there really wasn't that one time, it really took time to realize that this is something I want to do. This is something that I can make happen. It took a very long time. It wasn't like, going to school here and everything. I hadn't even met a real living artist in my life when I was in school. I hadn't been to a gallery, right? So all of that came later in my life. So it wasn't one moment. It was a series of moments that I looked back on and connected the dots. And I think that's what I continue to do, is connect the dots in terms of, okay, this makes sense. This feels good. Let's move forward with it. So I would say it was a series.
You got family support when you wanted to pursue this as a career?
I think it creeped up so slowly that it wasn't a turning point. It was like, I was taking my, whatever I was trying to do at that time along with my artwork. And so it built up over time. So there was no turning point in that, hey, I'm going to do this, sort of. But I would say there was one moment after I finished my master's where I spoke to my family and I was like, hey, just give me 1 year where I just want to try this. I feel like I've done everything. I'm confident that I can find a job if this doesn't work out. Can you just give me 1 year? I just want to try it out. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. And it's been 8 years since, so I'm not sure what to say.
You went to the US to pursue your bachelor's degree. Still, you're not aware that you're going to be an artist?
No.
Were you?
No. It wasn't, a lot of people ask me, like, is it a dream come true? And literally, it wasn't even in my dream. It wasn't in my vocabulary that it was something that I could do. Being born and raised here, it wasn't a career path that someone was like, hey, this is a possibility. I think, it happened over time as well. So, like, bachelor's degree is 4 years in the US. I think it was like 3.5 years in, my professor told me, you've taken enough art classes to be an art major. We know you're a globalization studies major, but do you also want to add this? You just need one more class. And I was like, wow, I had no idea. Sure. That's how I became an art major. It wasn't like I want to be an artist and I should, And I think even after graduation, I wasn't working as an artist. I was working at an arts nonprofit at that time, but I wasn't working as an artist. And I think it was over time that it happened.
As a student, how were you? You were a bright student, weren't you?
Good question. A lot of people, I think it's an interesting question to ask because I didn't consider myself a bright student when I was up till high school. I was in the same school from like 3rd grade till 12th grade. I wasn't considered a good student. I was considered like a troublemaker. I was always told I was like a bad kid, and that my ideas weren't valid ever. And I always used to have this question like, why can't I answer it this way? Because this seems like a right answer too. Like I was always curious, I think the first time I really enjoyed learning and I felt like I wanted to do my homework and wanted to read was when I took this anthropology class in college. And I was like, wow, this is so interesting. This is what it feels like to enjoy learning. And I guess that's the point where I started wanting to be a good student. I think before that, it felt like a necessity that was placed on me, as most students might feel. But at that point, I was like, wow, I really am looking forward to doing my homework. I want to read this book so that I know, what's going on in class and stuff like that. So it's a complicated question, to say the least.
Why I asked you this, because you studied at Harvard's in full scholarship.
Correct.
A dull student wouldn't do that. Or a dull student like me would not be able to do that, would I?
I think it's a definition of like what's a good student, right? Yeah. Is a good student, saying yes to everything? Is a good student following the instructions exactly like you've given them? Is a good student not asking any questions and just nodding your head in agreement? Or is a good student a critical thinker who will ask you questions back because they're curious? Because I'm that kind of student and I feel like I'm a student of life. I continue learning. So in terms of that, I am a student. But I'm not sure if a good student is like a...
Inquisitiveness in you led you to this career. If I say that, would I be wrong?
No, I think you'd be so right. I think it was that curiosity of like, what if? What if I gave myself 1 year to try this out? And not being scared to kind of take that step and being okay with the fact that it could not work out, and that's okay. But if it works out, that's great too. So being okay with the unknown is such an important thing to have, I think.
Would you say there's no harm in being bad by asking questions or being inquisitive? Follow your passion? Would you say that, or would you say be a good student, do your homework, listen to your parents and teachers? Which one would you suggest?
I would say both. I would say if you're smart, you have to be part of the paradigm too that the school system is set on. Yes, you do need to get good grades. You do need to be a good student. At the same time, also be yourself. If that means being curious and asking questions, then do that. So I think it's not just as simple as like follow your passion.
My next question, Sneha, being a Nepali, abroad for studies, following your passion, was it difficult initially?
Yeah, I think it's always difficult when you follow your passion, especially when it's something that no one has done before, in your vicinity at least. I think that's why it took me a long time to come to it. I think if someone was like, hey, you're really good at art, you should think about being an artist, and this is what you need to do to be an artist. If someone told me that, I think I would have been in a different place now, but I think it was a lot of trial and error to figure out what I want to do. And I think it's important to do that at the same time, because that's sort of part of finding yourself, right? And once you do, there's really, you know, you kind of feel invincible in a way that you feel like this is me. And, you know, there's no doubt about it.
Tell us something about mural painting. How is it different from other forms of painting or art, let's say? What exactly is mural painting?
Sure. So my background has been in graffiti, and graffiti is based on, it's an art form based on letters. And, you know, it started in New York City by young people at a rebellion. And so they would paint really large pieces of like their name on trains, on walls. And so that's really what got me started. I was really interested in painting. Now murals are, you know, graffiti pieces can be murals. Graffiti is mostly like letters. It's a very big emphasis on looking at letters as images. Murals are large paintings on walls. I think in terms of aesthetics, it really depends on the viewers, like who is viewing it. I think that's the beauty of art, that it's subjective, right? It's like something that I love might not be something that you love, and that's okay. So a graffiti piece can be part of a mural. Mural is basically a really large work of art on like buildings and walls, and that's, you know, really large. So the aesthetics can really depend on the artist. It can be anything really. It can be a portrait. It can be someone's name really large. Yeah.
Allow me to ask this question. Is art emotion, expression, or devotion?
I think it's all of the above. I think it's so much of trying to express yourself in the most authentic way you know how. And I think without devotion, that is not possible, because it takes so much to come to understanding who you are, and then even more to understand what you want to say, especially when you're given a platform. So I think I would say it's all of the above.
Any special reason for choosing the first alphabet?
Sure. So when I started realizing that I wanted to use Devanagari script to create my paintings, there was this sense of empowerment that I had. I was like, wow, this makes so much sense. It's, you know, it's amazing. And then, you know, I used to try writing different words. But then when the pandemic hit, that was a difficult time for everybody, right? So, you know, I wasn't painting outside. I was just in my apartment, and I came back to painting in a way where I was, you know, I just wanted to feel sane. I just wanted to feel the comfort of maybe home. I was missing home so much at that time. Obviously, it wasn't a good time to come back home. So I was really turning to painting to find that comfort. And I was really thinking about, you know, what is the essence of home? If I can't, is it just a physical space? And if it's not, then what is the essence of home? And one of the sort of like things that I thought about was home is like the same comfort that you have when you can run up the stairs of your home, even when the lights are out. During load shedding, every Nepali kid, you can go up and down your stairs.
They could do that because they know it.
Exactly. That's home, right? That's the comfort of home. That's the familiarity of home. And I wanted to capture that essence. And then I could only write ka. I found myself writing ka over and over again, just like a meditation. And then over time, I was just obsessed with, you know, how I want to write it. And then after that, I was like, okay, now I want to write it the exact same way. Like, I'm pretty sure you can write ka with your eyes closed. Why? Because it's the first letter that we learned how to write. And it's the same as the comfort of home. So when I figured that out, I was like, yes, I just want to write this for now. And that's where, the repetition of like the letter Ka began. So.
What satisfies you the most? The price that your work fetches? The comment from critics? Or the relief that you feel after expressing yourself out?
That's a good question. I think it's the reason why I chose this job is because this is that one job for me that lets me be myself 100% real and be myself 100% in the most authentic way I know how. So if in a project I'm able to express myself 100% like that, that is what makes me really happy and satisfied. And yeah, and I think it's a powerful thing to be able to be yourself 100% of the time, every single day. And then over time, you also learn to be okay with yourself. So I would say, yeah, I think authenticity, my voice is what's most important to me, which is why I do what I do. So I would say that's what would make me more...
What is the best compliment you have received from somebody who loves art after having seen your work?
Oh, wow. That's a really good question. I think it depends on who says it. I think what jumps in my mind right now is when, like in Boston or even here in Kathmandu, when I meet young people and they say, I could really see what you're trying to do, what you're trying to show. Or like in Boston, there might be Nepali families who come and show, like parents, they show their kids, like, this is what it is and this is what she's trying to do and I'm not even around. I think that's the biggest compliment for me.
Let's go to mural painting again. Can you just walk us through the process from the concept, designing, and up to the wall? Can you just walk us through the process? How does it go?
Sure. So a big part of the mural, of creating a mural, especially a really large one, is the collaboration element of it. For example, my 6-story tall mural on the MIT building, that took a lot of collaboration. Even before the painting process began, we have to work with the city, permits, the local business district people, and then local stakeholders, people in the neighborhood. I think that's the part that's invisible, but that's the part that takes most time. Can we paint this wall? Is this wall stable to be able to be painted?
Once you're done with all the, let's say, legals and those sort of formalities, now it's time to conceptualize your vision on the field. How long does it take? Your MIT, let's say, mural we were talking about.
Yeah, I started by like taking photos of the wall, and then I also spend a lot of time in front of the wall to see how people walk around it. I want to see how people experience the wall, what the wall looks like at sunset, at sunrise, because my work is going to be there and I want it to have a good home. I want it to make sense. So it's a big part of it is understanding the environment that I'm in. And then I start, taking pictures, and then I'll print them, and then I'll sketch on the building, and then start the process.
Sneha is the first Nepali artist whose work has been acquired by 2 world-famous fine art museums. How does it feel, Sneha, to have that heavy cap over your head?
It's pretty exciting. I think it's, the Museum of Fine Arts, the painting that was acquired, it's in their permanent collection. And to think that it's going to be there long after I'm gone, for other Nepali people and people of various cultures to be able to see, I think that's a really powerful thing for me to realize. I think it's wonderful to be able to see a contemporary Nepali voice. I think it takes away from the mysticism, the stereotypical kind of box that Nepali people and Nepali culture is usually put into, especially in Western museums. We're seen as this culture of like ancient, of like past, but the truth is we're a living tradition, we're a living culture. We're people who practice all these things till this day. We're not just people of the past. I think it's important to leave behind such stories in important institutions like museums. And the other one is at the Harvard Art Museums. It's a sculpture that they acquired, and it's going to be on long-term view, and it's in their collection as well.
Fine art museums like Boston or Harvard, they are acquiring pieces from artists from Asia as well. Are they becoming more and more open to the international artists as well, or would, if I say that, I'd be just undermining your creative talent?
I think the world is, the world is globalizing, has globalized over time, right? And the US is a melting pot of various cultures. I do think there's a realization that there needs to be a representation for all these cultures that make up the country. And so it's an important time to be part of that conversation.
So you were the first to be from this country. Now, does that inspire you to work harder and what's next am I going to do sort of thing? Does that give you more inspiration or make you more desperate?
It encourages me. It gives me a signal that I'm doing something right, and it feels right. And people from various parts of Nepal that I meet in Boston and other parts of the US, I feel encouraged by them when they see it. I think people who visited Nepal and are not necessarily Nepali see Nepal in my work, and that's a point of pride. It just gives me a green signal that I'm doing something right. And I'm motivated to keep going.
How does it feel to be the cultural ambassador of the country in the melting pot?
Around
the world you're traveling now. How does it feel?
That's a huge phrase to take on.
You are, Sneha. You are the first artist from this country to be represented there. Not just represented, but acquired by those institutions. So that does give you the tag of being our cultural ambassador abroad.
I feel like it's important to carry on the work that I'm doing. I think it's important to share to younger people what I'm doing and how I'm doing it, so that maybe the younger generation can do it even better than I am doing it, and I hope that they do. I think it's so important to carry my people wherever I go, however the best I can. At the end of the day, I'm just one person, so hopefully there's more people who get the opportunity to do the same and represent, their part of their Nepali life.
This is Declassified, and we are talking with Sneha Shrestha, contemporary Nepali mural artist, sculpture, graffiti-based artist, and a fusion artist. In the next part of the conversation, now we talk about the best works of Sneha. Which of the works that you have done so far is closest to your heart? I would be definitely not doing justice to you by asking this question. I know you are the creator. Everything is very, very dear to you. But still, if you have to pick one,
sure.
Which one would you pick?
My mentor has always told me you're only as good as your last piece. And so I would love to talk about, my most recent show at the Institute of Contemporary Art. These are pictures from the Institute of Contemporary Art where I'm currently exhibiting my work. It's part of the Foster Prize show. The Foster Prize is one of the most prestigious art prizes in Boston, and it's something that I've been eyeing for the past 6 years, and I've really wanted that prize really badly. And you can't apply for it, you have to get selected for it. And when you get selected, you get to have the show at the Institute of Contemporary Art, and it's for Boston artists. And so to be selected for that felt incredible. And when something I wanted came to fruition, it was like, okay, it's time to do what you felt ready to do for a long time, is have sort of like this first solo museum show, and you get to show a big body of work.
How are you expressing yourself in these two pieces?
Sure, so these two pieces are part of that show at the Institute of Contemporary Art, the ICA in Boston. These two pieces are my first art-shaped paintings. These are 7 feet each, and they contribute to the architectural feel of the space. In this, you see fractals of the Devanagari script. So they're not necessarily words, but if you looked at the alphabet really zoomed in really close, that's what you would see, in my opinion.
I can see Ka on the blue side of the canvas.
Yes. So I call it like the shadow part. So if you think of an arch, that's sort of like the shadow part of the painting. That's where you see the repetition of Ka. And I brought the Ka there because my first painting acquired by the Museum of Fine Arts, that painting is a repetition of Ka over and over again.
Let's move on to the next one.
So this is the painting that was acquired by the Museum of Fine Arts, Boston, and it so happened that when my mom was visiting me, it was on view, and so I got to take her there and, show it, and her, reaction just...
This must be very close to you. Ka there, your mother, Kalpana there, and you are the Imagine there. So this is a masterpiece,
This
I would
was
say.
a special moment for sure. And this was a painting I actually created in 2020 during that time that I told you about during the pandemic, you know. And the curator, Laura Weinstein at the MFA, recognized that, and she chose this as the painting to be acquired.
Probably this is the largest piece you have, of mural you have painted?
It's not the largest, but it is the tallest. It's about 60 feet tall, so like 6 stories. And it's in the heart of Cambridge, and it's at the confluence of various neighborhoods. You know, MIT is right there, so a lot of students get to see it. A lot of Nepali students at MIT have shown me the you know, that they're there and like tagged me on it, which is super cool. Yeah.
You just do it all alone, right? Or you just need some helping hand to finish this piece?
No, I wish I could get a helping hand, but because it's my handwriting on the wall, I do it all myself.
So all alone, apart
Correct.
from the machinery that has been used, it's all you who has done it?
Yes, and I operate the machine as well. So the articulating boom lift that you see me here, I operate it myself. And my photographer was on the other end of it taking this photo.
Okay, this is how it looks once it's done.
Yeah, so for scale, you can see like tiny people on the bottom.
So it's a really huge mural. Tell me something about this one. This I can clearly see car, your very dear car there. Tell me something. Where is it?
I think this is in Michigan. This was the moment where I really was dedicated to the letter Ka, and I felt confident enough to paint it so large and be able to tell people, you know, this is the first letter of the Nepali alphabet, and this is what it means to me. And so I feel like this moment was that moment where I felt like I've arrived. I'm so confident in telling people about this language that they know nothing about. But I felt, you know, that I could.
Tell us something about this one, Sneha.
Sure. So this is a sculpture. It's called Dwar Palika. This is the sculpture that was acquired by the Harvard Art Museums. It's currently on view. We actually just installed it before I left. And, you know, my parents were able to see it. And this is, you see the repetition of Ka. It's made out of brass and powder-coated steel. And yeah, it's sort of suspended from the ceiling, and it kind of has this aura about her. I call her because there's that energy that she has, and there's a environment that's like built around her because of the shadows that are laid on the floor. So it's a really special piece for me.
When the creator like you hand your piece of work to museums like this, how does it feel? Like shedding your skin or something like that?
It feels emotional because I remember the day that I packed this. You know, it takes a long time for acquisitions, for museum acquisitions to happen. And so when I recognized that it was the last day that I packed her up and dropped her off at this storage facility. It's like, you don't drop it off at the museum. So storage facility, and I just said, the next time I see her, she's going to be installed. And I definitely had a tear in my eye, and I was just like, wow, it feels like such a moment to kind of take in. And it's bittersweet for sure, because you work towards something for so long, and then it's going to be at this really important place for a very long time. It's definitely an important moment.
Sneha, let's talk about this one. This looks really, really large.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty large mural. It's in East Boston. It's by the water. Mm-hmm. So you can see it from the other shore of Boston. And it was this really special piece that I got to do, and I wanted to make sure that I did 3 circular shapes, because 3 is such a sacred number with everything that we do in our rituals and pujas and everything. And so I really wanted to talk about that. And it is, it's one of my largest works.
Fantastic. We're so much fascinating these works, Sneha.
Thank you.
Please allow me to do this, okay? Pick one of these pictures. Of all these pictures we have done and your sculpture we have displayed here, if you had to, okay? You can't escape this.
Okay.
Pick one only.
Okay. I think I would pick the Cambridge one. the Cambridge mural that you saw, the really tall one, because that tested me in different ways. That it's kind of like building a muscle, right? You're tested and there's pain, and then you grow stronger from it. I think it's one of those pieces. That's why it's so close to my heart. And also, so many people have kind of, at this point, the mural kind of belongs to the city. It's not my work anymore. So many people attach their stories. So many people have gotten married in front of the mural, like take their wedding photos.
You must be a special guest in those ceremonies.
No, but I get sent these photos. Young Nepali students at MIT take selfies in front of it. I mean, it's really part of the city's DNA at this point. And so I'm really honored to have that work there.
Fantastic. The works of Sneha Shrestha, aka Imagine, some of her works. These are just some of the works that she has produced. There are so many things she's working globally, working with multinational projects where she's working not only in the US but around the world. Now, last part of our conversation, Sneha, you are an inspiration to the youth. What message do you have for them? All those who want to pursue their passion and build a career out of it, or let's say pursue their passion only.
Sure, I would say take time to figure out what you want to do. It might not be as soon as you graduate high school. It might not be as soon as you finish your bachelor's degree. It's a process. I would say look at it as a process and make sure that you find joy in the process. And there's no really this end place that you get to that you'll find happiness in. I would say if you're happy in the process, then you're really closer to finding yourself. Figure out what is the most authentic version of you and kind of use that as a compass to pursue whatever you're pursuing. So the message here isn't go out and be an artist. The message is, find out who you are and what you love doing. And that might not be your job immediately, but just finding something that you love doing is such an important part of being. So, yeah.
What message would you like to give to other youngsters who are looking up to you as inspiration?
I would say it's okay to be different. It's okay to think differently. It's okay to ask questions. And it's so important to have mentors. I think those are the things that I would love to share with younger people.
What is life, Sneha?
Life? I think it's a process. I think it's like this fun process that you get to try different things out in. And yeah, I think that's what life is.
Striking a balance in life, how important it is.
I think it's so important to balance out. I think it's important, first of all, to find a compass of what guides you. For me, what guides me is my happiness, and that could mean in different ways. That means being able to see my parents as often as I want. That means being a good friend. That means building communities in both of my homes, in Kathmandu and in Boston. These are things that really kind of make my life, and kind of make things clear, like what are important to me, and that's my community, that's my friends and my family. And I think once you have that compass, everything kind of starts falling into place.
Last question to you, Sneha. Your career goals and your personal goals.
Sure. I think this sounds so, I'm not trying to boast it, but I think I'm living it as, career and personal goals. As an artist, it kind of melds into one thing. And I want to take both of them side by side. So if my career helps me express myself even better, that's amazing. Things that I might say no to, that might be, for my personal life. And I think balancing those things is quite important. But both of that is still me. So I got to take both of them in a balanced way. So, yeah. Okay, so I have something that I brought for you. It's a sticker. And it has the first letter, Ka, on it. And it's something that I do for everybody that I meet. I give them a sticker. And the background for that is really, when graffiti writers meet each other, we exchange stickers. Street artists, murals, we exchange stickers. And I really like to do that. And stickers something, playful and a little bit of joy. So, yeah.
My privilege, Sneha. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful conversation with a Nepali contemporary artist who is definitely a world-class artist, Sneha Shrestha, whose name in itself is Imagine, that correlates to her roots, her mother. Thank you so much for watching this show, and definitely do follow us on our website, our social media handles. Until next time, from me and my entire crew of Declassified, bye-bye.
Music, dance, food, art and devotion are the lifeblood of Mewar culture, an ancient civilization rooted in the Kathmandu Valley of Nepal. With lively festivals nearly every fortnight, the Newars celebrate life through a rich tapestry of traditions known as Jatra, deeply intertwined with the rhythms of agriculture. This is a culture where every celebration is a living expression of heritage, community, and spiritual joy. Welcome to the ancient heart of the Kathmandu Valley, Chaba Hill. Here lies a sacred nexus of faith and tradition, Sri Chandravinayak Temple.
The wishes of the devotees, for instance, moving abroad, or the most important is to get rid of want and allergies. And if we lose something, then we offer a kisli, an ancient small bowl made up of clay in which we put rice and a supari with a coin. It is believed we retrieve the lost thing and wounds or allergies.
This location is not just a place of worship, it is the stage for one of the region's most vibrant annual celebrations, Sri Chandravinayak and Sri Bhairavnath Jatra.
The beginning of the Jatra is always, according to the Newari date, what we call Sakimana Puni. Puni means full moon. It starts from the time of Kartik Purnima, and for this we have to take the auspicious time for the Jatra. There is a place called Amalkot Kacheri. We go there about a week in advance to get the auspicious time. After they give us the auspicious time, then we start the management things.
This festival holds a significance at par with our grandest celebrations like Dasai and Tihar for the local residents of Chaba Hill. It's a time when the community unites and the entire area bursts into life.
Old-aged people are the contributors for the contribution of this Jatra festival. In early days, it was done during days and the deities were kept in a basket from the sources. Now, we use chario because to local resident people like us, this festival is like Dasai and Tihar. Those are the greatest festival for Nepalis. Another reason is that a lot of people worship Lord Ganesh. The importance of the four Lord Ganesh is advertised. That is why there are lots of devotees visiting the temple. More than importance, it is the preservation of our culture and heritage that we are trying to do best.
The Jatra centers around two powerful deities, Lord Ganesh, known here as Chandrabinayak, and the fierce protector Bhairavnath.
We also consider Chandra Binayak Bhagwan as the first deity, right? The god who received blessings from Shiva Parvati or the parents. The first one who remember and worship when we humans worship is Sri Ganesh Bhagwan. All the Hindu Sanatan Dharma followers all over the world consider Ganesh Bhagwan as the first deity. Similarly, Chandra Binayak, the name is different, but their feeling and over devotion towards them is the same. Similarly, Bhairavnath, who is located here in Chabel, Bhairavnath is considered to be a deity who originated here naturally even before Ganesh Bhagwan. Now we consider Bhairav as a form of Shiva, as a part of Shiva, right? In this way, we consider Chandra Binayak Bhagwan and Bhairavnath as the center of our faith. Another interesting aspect is this is also in the form of a legend. Our Chandra Binayak Bhagwan loves outsiders more than us locals. The reason for that is maybe because they come from so far away with so much hardship. God gives them more blessing. That's how we take it.
Historically, the architecture itself whispers tales of antiquity. The temple complex standing near the ancient Charumati Stupa showcases relics dating back to the literary period, as far back as the 5th to 6th centuries. While the main idol of Sri Chandrabinayak has seen renovations over centuries, notably during the Malla era, the site's spiritual lineage is deep-rooted.
हाम्रो यो गणेशलाई चाहिँ चन्द्रविनायक चार गणेश मध्ये एक गणेश भगवान हो एक गणेश जस्तै चन्द्रविनायक सूर्यविनायक जलविनायक अशोक विनायक
Sri Chandra Binayak is one of the most important lord in the four Vinayak, Surya Vinayak, Chandra Vinayak, Jal Vinayak and Ashok Vinayak. This Jatra was initiated during the Lichavi period as Ganesh Kumari and Lord Bhairav were way before this time frame is known. It is believed that Lord Bhairav is the protector and of the local residents of Chabel, and the prasad is said to cure diarrhea and cholera.
The unique feature of this celebration is the dual focus. While the pillar of Bhairavnath was historically renowned, the divine presence of Lord Ganesh is equally honored. The festival marks the time when the forces unite, celebrated through grand processions and rituals that honor the valley's layered history, blending Hindu and ancient Buddhist iconography.
Now we are busy with jobs and businesses. But the previous generation were all in agriculture, and this time, which falls in Kartik and Mangsir, is the time when it gets cold, or the time to harvest the crops and eat, the time to rest after being tired from harvesting the crop. So, on the first day of the Jatra, we offer the new crop, the various crops that have been harvested, such as wheat, soybeans, rice, lava, all these as halimali prasad to Ganesh Bhagwan. After offering that to God, then all our families relax, thinking that our agricultural work is done and we have a new feast. Thank the gods and have a palanquin procession and a feast. This is how we are moving forward in its main religious, social, all forms.
The main celebration commences on the full moon day of Hindu month Kartik, which typically falls in November.
The first day of the full moon of Kartik, we lit a sacred fire known as Dhuni. Second day is Ganesh Jatra here in the temple. On the third day, we take the chariot to Chutchepati and end the 4 days ceremony with Sindur Jatra.
The day begins with solemnity as a great sacred fire. The Dhuni is lit for the well-being of all people, a ritual known for devotees gathering together to warm themselves, believing it grants health benefits and religious merits. The climax is the Rath Yatra, the chariot procession. The chariots of Bhairavnath are elaborately decorated, and the image of Sri Chandravinayak is also brought out for worship.
Playful chariot battle is done as Lord Ganesh is worshipped at first, and the chariot of Lord Bhairav rounds up the chariot of Sri Chandravinayak 3 times, believing this long ceremonial ritual. It is also believed that when the chariot strikes, that place is protected from the divine. Previously, chariots were stopped in front of every house, but nowadays it is only stopped in most important places of Chabel due to urbanization.
We see traditional mock rituals, like a playful struggle where Ganesh attempts to enter the main sanctum depicting ancient mythology played out in the streets. The deities are later bathed in the ancient Gangahiti, a water source just north of the temple, a ritual that can last late into the night. The atmosphere is one of joyous devotion and playful energy.
The head priest is selected from Pasupati Development Trust, who are the employees themselves. They are given a specific special area for the formal event. Previously, they used come in barefoot, but now we have solved their problem with this new space. They use the traditional tantric ritual to worship the deities. After the tantric rituals done by the priests, the deities get a new form. It can be seen with the change of the ornaments, same like the day as Lord Ganesh is worshipped, especially on Tuesday. His form is more strong and divine, and the ornaments used in the jatras are special, not the one being used every day. Lord Ganesh is worshipped by the Sakya priests with their own rituals, and the Lord Bhairav is worshipped by the Vajracharya priests according to their own rites and rituals. Now, not many Sakya and Vajracharya priests are here in Nepal to forward this ancient ceremonial festival.
More than just religious rites, the Jatra is a powerful social binder. It is the time when relatives are invited as honored guests, transforming Chabhel into a hub of reunion and festivity. The homes themselves become part of the decoration illuminated to celebrate the occasion.
We are teaching our kids the same what we did learn from our earlier generation, and we have already started to train them. Now, our daughter and sons do not attend college just to take part in this heavenly festival. They are interested in their culture and promoting it with full confidence. That's why we are trying to teach them everything what we learn to keep our tradition and culture alive. Every year a new face is introduced so that they participate with full confidence and happiness with equality. Whoever is devoted and interested, they are welcomed and given priority here.
Devotees strongly believe that participating in this Jatra guarantees the same spiritual blessings as worshipping the deities throughout the entire year. Consequently, the number of culture enthusiasts joins the thousands of pilgrims each year.
In this crowd, we are moving forward in our race of life. Mostly people go abroad for studies or earn money, but there are many friends like us who feel that our identity, the heritage of our country, the greatest assets of our country is our culture, which our ancestors have been handing over to us. This is our identity. If this identity is not preserved, then in the future neither our existence nor the existence of the nation of Nepal will remain. We are working hard, we are suffering, but we are devoted. God is helping us. That's why we don't have to go abroad. God is watching over us. We always have one thing, that our devotion to God is always awakened, and the work we do is also a devotion to God. And the main thing we do is for the good of all our Nepalese residents, for the good of the country. That's why we always work hard.
To manage this growing vibrant event, the locals have set up a coordination committee to ensure everything runs smoothly and joyfully.
Now this management, which we have formed as Sri Chandra Vinayak and Bhairavnath Jatra Coordination Committee. Actually, there are separate Guthi, Palas and religious Guthi that have been established earlier to conduct the Jatra. But this issue, gradually, as the youth migrate and a generation gets older, it's become difficult to operate. Not only for the Guthi Palas. Then, to play a coordinating role, we formed this committee. The coordination committee, it includes all the Ganesh Palas, Bhairav Palas and the Guthi that carries Chhatra. There is a Guthi called Kha Guthi. There are many such Guthi. We have included all of them and formed a working committee and started organizing this program in this way. It has been more than 10 years now.
After the coordination committee was established, we have upgraded with the process and the rituals of Jatra. After this Jatra ends, the Guyeswari Jatra is commenced with the Muktinath Baja Khala. It's been 6 years as we are getting funded by the Pasupati Development Trust.
This historic and ancient cultural heritage of Chaba Hill stands as a vital part of Nepal's identity. Preserving and revitalizing this tradition requires a collaborative commitment from the nation as a whole and from every Nepali, both at home and abroad.
It's been 6 years as we are getting funded by the Pasupati Development Trust, increasing the fund by 10% every year. As I have known, it is 70 to 80,000 rupees. From the municipality office, we are also funded 10 lakh Nepalese rupees. But as the governmental process takes time and the taxes are deducted, we get 8 lakh rupees in total for the festival. So we all residents of Chabel gather together and collect fund if the scarcity occurs. But we do not stop the festival.
collective participation and support are essential to safeguard and promote these cultural celebrations that uphold our national heritage.
Protesters in Iran defied a deadly government crackdown on Saturday night, taking to the streets despite reports suggesting hundreds of people have been killed or wounded by security forces in the past 3 days. The country's Attorney General Mohammad Mohammadi Azad said on Saturday that anyone protesting would be considered an enemy of God, an offense that carries the death penalty. More than 2,500 people have been arrested since protests began on 20th December, according to a human rights group. The protests were sparked by soaring inflation and have spread to more than 100 cities and towns across every province in Iran. Now, protesters are calling for end to the clerical rule of Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Khamenei has dismissed demonstrators as a bunch of vandals seeking to please US President Donald Trump. Trump has threatened to hit Iran very hard if they start killing people. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Bakr Kalibab has warned that if the US attacks Iran, Israel and all US military and shipping bases in the region will be targets for Iran to attack. As protests intensify, the number of deaths and injuries continues to rise. US-based human rights activists in Iran have reported more than 100 people, including security personnel, have been killed. Amnesty International says it is analyzing distressing reports that security forces had intensified their unlawful use of lethal force against protesters since Thursday. Voters in Myanmar cast ballots in the second stage of an election dominated so far by a party backed by the ruling military as it seeks to gloss over a low turnout in the initial round of the contest. Many of the areas in the polling stations have seen clashes in recent months or remain under heightened security, underscoring the risks surrounding the vote. The election is being held in 3 phases due to armed conflicts. The first phase took place on December the 28th in 102 of the country's total 330 townships, followed by the second phase on Sunday. A final round is scheduled for January the 25th, although 65 townships will not take part because of fighting. Myanmar has been ravaged by conflict since the military ousted a civilian government in a 2021 coup and detained its leader, Nobel Peace Prize winner Aung San Suu Kyi, sparking a civil war that has engulfed large parts of the nation of 51 million people. Suu Kyi's National League for Democracy party, which swept the last election in 2020, has been dissolved, along with dozens of other anti-government parties for failing to register for the latest polls, while rebel groups have refused to take part. The United Nations, many Western countries and human rights groups say the election is a sham exercise that is neither free, fair nor credible in the absence of a meaningful opposition. The military-backed Union Solidarity and Development Party is leading by a huge margin after winning 90 out of the 102 lower house seats contested in the first phase on December the 28th, which witnessed only 52.13% voters turnout, much lower than elections in 2020 and 2015. US President Donald Trump has asked for at least $100 billion in oil industry spending for Venezuela. As one executive warned, the South American country is currently uninvestable. Bosses of the biggest US oil companies who attended the meeting acknowledged that Venezuela sitting on vast energy reserves represented an enticing opportunity. But they said significant changes will be needed to make the region an attractive investment. No major financial commitments were immediately forthcoming. Trump has said he will unleash the South American nation's reserves after U.S. forces seized its leader Nicolas Maduro in a 3rd January raid on its capital.
It's a whole different Venezuela, and Venezuela is going to be very successful, and the people of the United States are going to be big beneficiaries because we're going to be extracting, numbers in terms of oil, like few people have ever seen, actually. So you're dealing with us directly. You're not dealing with Venezuela at all. We don't want you to deal with Venezuela.
Venezuela has had a complicated relationship with international oil companies since oil was discovered in its territory more than 100 years ago. Chevron is the last remaining major American oil company still operating in the country. A handful of companies from other countries, including Spain's Repsol and Italy's Eni, both of which were represented at the White House meeting, are also active. Trump added his administration will decide which companies will be allowed to operate.
And we're going to be working with Venezuela. We're going to be making the decision as to which oil companies are going to go in, that we're going to allow to go in. Going to cut a deal with the companies. We'll probably do that today or very shortly thereafter with Chris and Doug. And we're dealing with the country, so we're empowered to make that deal.
The White House has said it is working to selectively roll back U.S. sanctions that have restricted sales of Venezuelan oil. The U.S. last week seized several oil tankers carrying sanctioned crude. American officials have said they are working to set up a sales process which will deposit money raised into U.S.-controlled accounts. The European Union has reached a free trade agreement with South American countries 25 years after talks began and despite opposition from farmers in several European countries. The deal with the trading bloc, which includes Brazil, Argentina, Paraguay, and Uruguay, will require the approval of the European Parliament within the next few months. Brazil's President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva praised it as a historic day for multilateralism after the four South American countries put the final touches to the deal in Brussels. It comes against the backdrop of U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on countries around the world and his recent military intervention in Venezuela. The European Union heralded what will be its largest free trade accord to date as a win-win, although critics have argued that the cheap imports may undercut European farmers in products including beef, poultry, and sugar. As well as boosting trade and political ties, the European Commission said the deal will help fight climate change through commitments to stop deforestation and ensure a reliable flow of raw materials critical for the global green transition. The Commission expects the deal to save local companies $4.7 billion a year into export duties. Farmers in several countries in Europe held last day's protest against the deal with marches and demonstrations using tractors in France and Belgium. South American countries boast deposits of gold, copper, and some of the critical minerals required for renewable and battery technology. With just over a month remaining until the Lunar New Year, Vietnam's state gift market is gaining momentum as producers adapt to rising cost and cautious consumer spending. In Dong Nai province, a local workshop plans to supply approximately 6,000 gold leaf feng shui coconuts for the upcoming Lunar New Year of the hearse. Despite a reported 25% increase in production cost, prices have been kept stable, ranging from about $12 to $32 in an effort to match current purchasing power. Even as household budgets tighten, Tet-related gifts and decorations remain a priority for many consumers. Meanwhile, a number of businesses are emphasizing cultural depth to attract buyers with gift collections inspired by traditional imagery, including family reunion meals, flower streets, line dances, red couplets, and zodiac symbols. India's Rajasthan desert heritage was full on display as the annual Camel Festival began in the historic city of Bikaner, drawing tourists and local residents to one of the state's cultural events. The festival featured decorated camels, traditional processions, and a range of folk performances accompanied by Rajasthani music and dance. Visitors also witnessed camel-related competitions, cultural exhibitions, and traditional rituals reflecting the region's long-standing relationship with the animal. Organized annually, the Camel Festival aims to promote heritage tourism while preserving indigenous traditions linked to the desert life. Officials say the event provides visitors with an insight into the vibrant cultural identity that defines Bikaner and the wider Thar Desert region. The three-day International Camel Festival is scheduled to conclude on January the 11th, marking the end of celebrations that highlight Rajasthan's cultural pride and tourism appeal. China has made progress in scientific data simulation for the Chinese Space Station Telescope, CSST, also known as the Shuntian Space Telescope, marking a crucial step in preparing for the country's flagship space astronomy facility. A collaborative Chinese research team built an end-to-end observation simulation suite for both the telescope's main optical system and various observation terminals. The suite achieved high-quality, pixel-level simulation of observation data, which will be used for the comprehensive evaluation of the telescope's overall performance. The research is expected to facilitate major scientific discoveries across various astrophysical fields, including cosmology, the study of galaxies, the Milky Way, stars, and planets. The CSST is an important component of China's space station. After launch, it will fly independently in the same orbit as the space station and can dock with the station for supply, maintenance, and upgrades. The simulation system is designed to support mission planning, data processing, and calibration ahead of the telescope's launch, reducing operational risks and improving scientific accuracy. Once operational, the CSST is expected to provide wide-field, high-resolution observations comparable to leading international space telescopes, strengthening China's capabilities in space astronomy and research. More than 200 runners from across Japan have raced to become the Lucky Men of the Year in an annual New Year event held at a shrine in the western prefecture of Hyogo. Nishinomiya Shrine holds the traditional ritual on January the 10th every year as part of a festival to pray for good business. The first three runners who reached the main hall about 230 meters from the starting point earned the Lucky Men titles. In the early hours of Saturday, the participants were chosen through a lottery started dashing through the shrine's compound after the gate was opened at the sound of drums. This year's top winner is Toyokawa Tepai, a university student from Kyoto City. He said he fell and injured his knees at the start, but he did all he could to recover from there. Toyokawa said he had watched this event since he was a child with the hope of winning the title someday, and that he could not believe it, wondering if it was a dream or reality. Priest Kamayama Takehiko said he was relieved that this year's lucky men were chosen without any problems. He expressed the hope that the participants will share their luck with people around them, making this year filled with smiles. High above the Colombian capital, the Monserrate mountain has been transformed by its 2025 Christmas display titled Lights of the World, drawing residents and tourists to the iconic landmark. The annual installation features large-scale illuminations inspired by 11 countries, guiding visitors along a festive route that combines themed light displays with panoramic nighttime views of Bogota. Organizers say the exhibition aims to celebrate cultural diversity through light and design. Located more than 3,100 meters above sea level, Monserrate is one of Bogota's most visited sites and a focal point of the city's holiday season. The illuminated route is accessible via the mountain's traditional pathways and lookout points. The Christmas display officially opened in December and will remain open to the public until January 12, 2026, allowing visitors to experience the installation throughout the holiday period and into the new year. City officials say the event is part of broader efforts to promote tourism and cultural activities during the festive season. Turkey's Al Dağlar National Park, stretching across 3 provinces, is continuing to draw visitors during the winter season as heavy snowfall blankets the region's rugged terrain. The snow has transformed the park's high peaks, deep valleys, and alpine plateaus into a striking winter landscape, creating scenic views that have attracted nature lovers, hikers, and photography enthusiasts. Visitors have been seen exploring designated routes and capturing images of the snow-covered scenery. Despite freezing temperatures, local tourism officials say interest in winter visits has increased, particularly among outdoor enthusiasts seeking seasonal landscapes. They note that the park's accessibility from several major cities in central and southern Turkey has made it an attractive destination for weekend travelers as well as professional photographers. However, authorities have urged visitors to exercise caution, noting that snow accumulation and icy paths can make hiking conditions difficult. Officials also emphasize the importance of proper equipment and preparation, advising visitors to monitor weather updates and avoid remote areas during adverse conditions. Thousands of people from Benin and across the world converged on the coastal city of Ouida this week for Vodun Days, a 3-day annual celebration highlighting the country's spiritual traditions and cultural heritage. The event, held each January, centers on Vodun, also known as voodoo, an animist belief system rooted in the forces of nature, ancestral worship, and community rituals. Benin is considered the historical birthplace of Vodun, which later spread to the Americas through the transatlantic slave trade. Festivities included traditional dances, drumming ceremonies, spiritual rites, and public processions led by Vodun priests and practitioners. Sacred rituals were performed at key sites in Ouida, including temples, beaches, and the historic route of slaves. Beninese authorities promoted the celebrations as part of efforts to strengthen cultural tourism and reclaim Vodun's image, which has often been misrepresented abroad. Vodun was officially recognized as a religion in Benin in 1996, and Vodun Days has since grown into one of the country's most prominent cultural events, attracting visitors, researchers, and members of the African diaspora. Organizers reported heightened attendance this year, reflecting growing international interest in Benin's spiritual heritage and ancestral traditions.
Welcome to the Hinterland. This weekly show weaves together stories from the hinterlands of Nepal, takes you beyond the cities and highways into the hearts of Nepal's rural landscapes. It's a country alive with stories, laughter, ideas, and everyday magic. I am Rosina Rai, and will be leading you into this journey every week. This new episode of the Hinterlands begins in the Tarai region of Nepal, where an intense drop in temperatures has been severely affecting daily life. The prolonged cold, compounded by thick smoke and sunless sky for nearly a month, has had a significant impact on the region. The major effects of this cold spell are examined in detail in this story. The southern district in the Tarai plains of Nepal are grappling with an intense cold wave. Temperatures have plummeted to a yearly low of 11 to 12 degrees Celsius, affecting elderly, street dwellers, daily wage workers, and school students. While the temperature reading does not tell excessive cold, the thick smoke accompanied by bone-chilling mist makes the sun invisible for days. The hospitals in the plains are overwhelmed with the patients with cold-related complaints. District including Bara, Parsa, Siraha, Saptari, and the surrounding areas are the hardest hit. Typically occurring between mid-December and February, the cold spell has arrived with particular intensity, causing daily life to grind to a near halt. According to the Department of Hydrology and Meteorology, minimum records have hovered around 11 degrees Celsius, while daytime highs barely reached 12 degrees Celsius. Health officials in Madhya province have reported a worrying rise in respiratory and heart-related illness.
प्रेसरको बिरामीहरूलाई मस्तिष्कघात र हृदयघात यो दुईटा कुरा पनि एकदम धेरै बढेछ। अस्ति म ओपीडीमा बस्दाखेरि बिहानदेखि नै 3टा हार्ट अट्याक र 2टा स्ट्रोकको पेशेन्ट आउनुभयो।
At the provincial hospital in Kalaiya, around 70 patients with cold-related ailments visit daily. The most vulnerable homeless individuals, daily wage workers, students, and the elderly have borne the brunt of the cold. In response, all 16 local levels in southern Bara have closed schools and distributed firewood, with the relief efforts still underway. Daily life has been severely disrupted as market activities has slowed. Residents are venturing out only when necessary, and dense fog has reduced road visibility, causing traffic disruptions. Air travel has also been affected, with flights from Simra Airport to Kathmandu repeatedly delayed over the past 2 weeks due to low visibility. As the Tarai braces for continued cold and fog, authorities and communities alike are struggling to keep vulnerable populations safe and ensure that essential services continue despite the harsh winter conditions. What if your daily outdoor activities were threatened by stray dogs and wild animals and the constant fear of rabies infections? People in Nepal's Sudur Paschim province are forced to live with this fear every day. In this second report, we bring you the story of rapidly increasing rabies cases posing a growing public health threat. Sudur Paschim province in Nepal is facing a growing public health crisis as rabies infections among humans and animals rise sharply. The disease, primarily spread through bites from stray dogs and wild animals, has become a major concern across the province. Legal protections for wild animals are considered a key reason for their increasing presence near human settlements, which has led to a rise in animal bite incidents and heightened risk to human life. Tragically, the disease has already claimed several lives, including a recent case of a 70-year-old woman, highlighting the escalating threat. According to the Provincial Health Directorate, 10,500 people were bitten by dogs and wild animals in the just the first 5 months of the current fiscal year, compared to 14,800 cases reported in the entire previous year. Kailali, one of the province's major districts, alone has recorded over 4,000 hospitals visit due to animal bites.
संवेदनशीलता कम गर्नका लागि जति साउन पानीले तुरुन्तै हैन धारा पानीमा लगेर घाउ जहाँ भएको छ त्यसलाई सफा गर्ने र जतिसक्दो चाहिँ त्यो धारामा बगाइरहने घाउलाई, जसले गर्दा चाहिँ भाइरसको संख्या कम हुन सक्छ र भाइरस चाहिँ इन्ट्री हुन दिँदैन। यो चाहिँ के हो भने तुरुन्तै गरिहाल्नु पर्ने, त्यो घाउलाई चाहिँ तुरुन्तै पट्टीले बान्ने भन्दा पनि त्यसलाई सफा गरिसकेपछि अनि पल्ल चाहिँ एन्टिसेप्टिक लगाएर अनि चाहिँ त्यसलाई घाउलाई चाहिँ
The Animal Disease Investigation Laboratory in Thangari reported 136 confirmed rabies cases out of 170 samples tested last fiscal year. Additionally, 18 animals have died of rabies in just the past month. Veterinarian emphasized that rabies is nearly always fatal but entirely preventable if post-bite care is administered immediately. In light of the rising number of fatal cases, doctors and animal health experts urge residents to report any animals showing abnormal behavior, aggressive biting or excessive salivation. Health authorities also stressed the importance of regular vaccination of domestic animals, monitoring stray dogs and wild animals, expanding vaccination programs for free-roaming dogs and raising public awareness. Once, sugarcane farming was a primary cash crop and a major source of livelihoods for many farmers in Nepal's southern district of Kapilvastu. However, the sector has been facing a systematic crisis for several years. Recent government data shows a consistent decline in both the area under sugarcane cultivation and overall production. Let's see the reality. Recent government data shows a consistent decline in sugarcane cultivation area and production in Nepal, with farmers shifting to other crops. Sugarcane production fell from over 3.4 million tons in the fiscal year 2019-20 to around 3.1 million tons in 2023-24. In terms of cultivation area shrinkage from 2020 to 2024, it is over 6,340 hectares. Meanwhile, the number of farmers engaged in sugarcane cultivation has decreased by 20% over the last 5 years. The plight of sugarcane farmers is largely attributed to low minimum support prices, government inaction, and delayed payments, which have forced many to switch to more profitable crops. The effects are particularly evident in the Tarai region's Kapilvastu district, once a major sugarcane production area. For farmers, cultivating sugarcane has become increasingly unsustainable as recovering production cost has grown challenging. Sugar industries are also affected, leading to only about 9 mills currently running out of more than a dozen. Mills that previously operated continuously for up to 5 months during peak season now run for only 2 and 3 months due to sugarcane shortages. Farmers in Kapilvastu report that Mahalakshmi Sugar Mill, the district Sole mill, still owes nearly 20 million rupees, approximately $138,787 for sugarcane they supplied before it shut down. Local sugarcane farmers recall selling sugarcane worth hundreds of thousands to the mill a decade ago and are still waiting to receive the payment. With no nearby mills and limited irrigation facilities, many farmers are now compelled to sell sugarcane to jaggery processors at a meager price of around $2 per quintal, much below the government-determined prices. Unpaid dues from both sugar mills and the government have made it increasingly difficult for the farmers to sustain their livelihoods, prompting many to consider alternative professions. Frustrated and desperate, they have waged rounds of protest, even walking always to federal capital Kathmandu, but their issues remains as it is. Time for now Nepal's government new initiation. With the beginning of the new year 2026, the government of Nepal has fully implemented the digital customs valuation database system nationwide. The new system is designed to use a database of actual transactions values, replacing the old reference value mechanism. The system officially replaced the reference price book on January 2nd. Details are here. The government of Nepal has introduced the custom valuation database system across all customs offices nationwide, officially replacing the old reference price book system as of 2nd January. This new system is being implemented as a pilot project for the import and exports of goods, offering a modern alternative to the traditional reference price list. The online valuation database serves as a risk assessment tool, helping customs authorities verify the accuracy of declared values for imported goods. Despite this, many customs points across the country continue to rely on the older reference price list, raising concerns among industrialists and business persons, particularly regarding goods imported through trading companies. In response, the Department of Customs temporarily suspended the use of previous reference price list at the Viratnagar Customs Office following request from the business community. Experts note that market fluctuations naturally affect the price of goods over time, and reliance on outdated reference prices can be problematic. Industrialists emphasize the online database system is highly scientific and argued that valuation should reflect the prices prevailing at the time of actual purchase.
Viratnagar Bhansar कार्यालयमा इम्पोर्ट हुने गुड्समा लमसम 98% गुड्समा चाहिँ कुनै डिस्प्युट हुँदैन. 98% गुड्स चाहिँ जे भ्यालु डिक्लेयर भएको हुन्छ त्यही डिक्लेरेसन गरेकै भ्यालुको आधारमा चाहिँ क्लियर भइरहेको हुन्छ. 2% गुड्समा चाहिँ कस्तो हुन्छ भने कतिपय अवस्थामा इन्स्पेक्सन गर्ने क्रममा कस्टम अफिसरले चाहिँ त्यहाँनिर केही क्याफियत छ कि भन्ने कुराको जाँच गर्नुहुन्छ. त्यो जाँच गर्दाखेरि चाहिँ त्यहाँ यदि भरपर्दो डकुमेन्टेसन अनि के छ भने भ्यालुएसन गर्ने जुन आधारका लागि चाहिने डकुमेन्ट्सहरू छ त्यो डकुमेन्ट्सहरूको चाहिँ नभेटेको खण्डमा त्यसलाई चाहिँ हामी के गर्छौँ भने अब हामीसँग भएका अनलाइन डेटाबेसलाई चाहिँ रेफरेन्सको रूपमा लिन्छौँ, आधार लिन्छौँ.
Rather than using invoices up to 90 days old, additionally experts have warned that the old reference price system, which was updated only twice a year, created opportunities for manipulation by traders and customs officials seeking to influence high custom duties. Ancient inscriptions in Nepal are invaluable historical records, most of them dating back to the Lichavi period between the 5th and 9th centuries. In this report, we highlight a conservation effort in northern Dading that focuses on preserving ancient scripts, notably Ranjana and Sampurna, an initiative that has received wide acclaim. Without further delay, let's dive into this remarkable story of heritage preservation. Locals of Dhating, a northern district of Nepal, making a joint efforts to protect and preserve ancient inscriptions written in the Ranjana and Sampurna scripts. Dozens of stone-carved inscriptions were discovered at a site known as Kuri, along with several ancient Buddhist texts. Ranjana script is an ancient, visually rich script originating in Nepal around the 11th century, primarily used by the Newar people for Sanskrit and Nepal Bhasha. Associated to the Lichvi period, these inscriptions are regarded as a vital part of Nepal's rich cultural and linguistic heritage. The discovery was made in an area inhabited primarily by the Tamang community, who have taken the initiative to safeguard these historical records for future generations. The inscriptions have now been carefully painted in attractive colors and securely mounted on walls to ensure their preservation. Experts have emphasized the historical importance of the Ranjana and Sampurna scripts, noting that they date back to nearly 2 centuries. As the inscriptions were found within the Tamang community, locals speculate that the stone carvings may contain tantric mantras believed to represent divine spiritual energy. To support long-term conservation, the local government and other authorities concerned have joined hands with the community.
एकदमै पुरानो यो उहिलेको किम्वदन्ती अनुसार चाहिँ यो भूतप्रेत धपाउने र यो चाहिँ एकदम पुरानो के अरे ऐतिहासिक स्थल भएको हुनाले यो यसलाई पर्यटकीय दृष्टिकोणले र धार्मिक दृष्टिकोणले दुवै विषयमा उपयुक्त भएको हुनाले हामीले चाहिँ स्थानीय स्तरबाट पालिकाले र यहाँको स्थानीय के अरे नागरिकहरूले संरक्षण गर्दै आएको छ।
Many of the inscriptions were left in a dilapidated state following Nepal's devastating 2015 earthquake. However, since last year, villagers have been collecting the artifacts and initiating systematic preservation efforts. Locals hope these initiatives will not only protect their heritage but also help promote tourism in the region. In previous episodes of The Hinterlands, we have highlighted Nepal's marginalized indigenous Chepang community on several occasions. Today, we turn our focuses to another minority group, the Raji community, who have traditionally lived a nomadic life along riverbanks. This is the story of the Raji community and their long-lost, deeply rooted identity. Over time, the Raji community, once closely connected to the forest, has witnessed profound changes in their daily lives. With a population of just 5,125, the Raji are among Nepal's most endangered indigenous ethnic groups. Traditionally, they were nomadic hunter-gatherers, primarily residing in the western districts, Surkhet, Bardia, Kailali and Kanchanpur. Renowned for their skill and resilience, the Raji have long survived by harvesting honey from sear cliffs, fishing and crafting wooden boats. These traditional occupations were not only vital for survival, but also formed the backbone of their cultural identity, passed down through generations. However, modernity has gradually eroded these traditions. Nomadic lifestyles have given way to settled living, with communities adopting modern farming, wage labor, and service sector work. While permanent settlement has brought short-term benefits such as improved access to education, healthcare and social services, it has also introduced economic hardship. Many Raji children still miss out on schooling, and sustaining families through ancestral skills has become increasingly difficult as forests shrink and traditional tools lost their utility. Conservation policies and the expansion of community forests have further declined the Raji's traditional survival identity. The government provides social security allowances to support this endangered group, yet challenges in education, employment, and cultural preservation persist. Many members of the community express dissatisfaction with these incomplete transitions, feeling a loss of cultural continuity as their nomadic way of life fades into memory. Despite these challenges, the Raji remain rich in language, culture, and costumes. Their most significant festival, Gurua Puja, continues to draw participants from neighboring communities, fostering social harmony. Protecting the language, culture, and identity of the Raji has become a shared responsibility, requiring active support from both the state and broader Nepali society. Yet, the reality remains. The tales of the Raji's rooted nomadic existence now survive largely in memory. Beyond the cities and the headlines, real lives continue to unfold. Stories shaped by struggle, strengthened by resilience, and carried forward by hope. This is the Hinterlands, and we will be back next week with more stories from the heart of Nepal. This is Rosina Rai. Goodbye for now.
Every dawn begins with a promise. Light will return. For the people of Nepal, the sun is not just a star in the sky. It is an eternal witness to labor, to love, to loss, and to life itself. The scriptures call it Aditya, the giver of vitality, the sustainer of truth. Farmers bow to it before planting their seeds. Mothers pray to it for the well-being of their children. To the people of Nepal, the sun is not a distant deity. It is divinity made visible, and that reverence is best manifested in Chhat. The festival where dwellers of the plains gather to thank both the rising and the setting sun.
This Chhat festival is a Hindu Vedic festival which is not only celebrated in India and Nepal these days. It has transcended to all the frontiers. Previously, it used to be celebrated in India and Nepal only. But these days, the devotees who belong to Hinduism or from Islamic community, even they are celebrating abroad. Since this festival is the celebration of the nature and it promotes organic way of life, it promotes pollution-free atmosphere and environment, this festival has reached to all the walks of life because it promotes equality. As you could see that the devotees at the same pond, no matter whichever caste or class they belong, they are considered to be equal.
The roots of this festival lie deep in the ancient plains of Mithila, a cultural landscape shared by Nepal and India, where faith, soil, and sunlight have long shaped life itself. From its earliest mention in the Vedas to its celebration today, Chhat has journeyed through centuries and civilizations, changing form, yet never losing its spirit of purity, discipline, and gratitude.
It's a 5-day festival. The first day is called Marua Mach Barnai. Barnai means to refrain from. In that day, the devotees take a pledge to refrain from consuming non-vegetarian food and garlic and onion made food items. And the second day is called Nahai Khai. In that second day, the devotees first take bath, then offer prayers to the sun god, and then consume pure food. The third day is called Kharna, and in that day, the devotees take fast till evening and break the fast with the prasada of kheer and banana. On the fourth day, we could see the Sandhya Arghya, that is evening prayers. All the prasada which is offered to the sun god, each and every prasada is offered to the sun god by standing in the waters. And the same thing is repeated in the fifth day, that is called Usa Arghya. Usa means the prayer for the rising sun.
The festival unfolds over 5 days, each with distinct rituals and a shared focus on devotion. Families prepare offerings, maintain sacred spaces, and observe fasts while communities gather along water bodies, including river banks and ponds, to offer prayers to the rising and the setting sun. Women play a central role in organizing the rituals and guiding younger generations, while men and children assist in preparations. The collective participation reinforces family bonds and community cohesion, bridging generations in a shared cultural practice.
The women of our part of the world, they do rigorous fasting for the long life of their husband and children. They are at the central role in this festival. छठमा महिलाले मात्रै पूजा गर्ने होइन, पुरुषलाई पनि छठमा जोसुकैले पनि छठमा पूजा गर्न पाउनुहुन्छ। यहाँ कुनै जेन्डरको बायस छैन। तर हाम्रो वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टलाई कहाँसम्म यसले रोल प्ले गर्दो रहेछ, सस्टेनेबल डेभलपमेन्ट गोल्समै हेर्ने हो भने जेन्डर इक्वालिटी कुरा गर्छ, वुमेन इम्पावरमेन्टको कुरा गर्छ। देयर इज नो युज अफ संस्कृत मन्त्र, देयर इज नो रोल अफ पण्डित, देयर इज नो एनी होली टेक्स्ट which will prescribe the modality of the Chhath celebration.
The festival emphasizes the cleanliness of rivers, ponds, and the banks, which are central to the rituals. These practices reflect an understanding that devotion is inseparable from responsibility towards nature. The festival demonstrates how religious observances can reinforce sustainable interaction with natural resources, promote environmental stewardship, and instill awareness about protecting water, soil, and the surrounding environment.
Once the Chhath festival concludes, we forget the messages which Chhath festival intends to give. Chhath talks about the pollution-free water bodies, the pollution-free sand, the pollution-free soil, and the pollution-free atmosphere. But the thing is that we often forget these messages. And the governments could uphold these messages if they could come up with certain policies while enlisting this Chhath and or promoting this Chhath festival in the UNESCO or in some other policy mechanism. They could draft some policies or they could draft some provincial laws which could enlist our water bodies as a natural body.
Chhath also supports local economies and traditional practices. Families rely on only locally sourced fruits, vegetables, and bamboo baskets, while vendors sell traditional items for the festival. Home-prepared offerings and locally produced goods strengthen community livelihoods and ensure that cultural indigenous skills and knowledge are preserved. By linking tradition with practical benefits, Chhath sustains both social and economic aspects of the communities and celebrate it.
This festival could be used as a bridge to connect the people from all walks of life, to connect the people from hill and tarai, to connect the people from each and every community member. So this festival could emerge as a festival of social cohesion. And beyond this, we could unite our community in a bond of equality and in a bond of community spirit.
From Mithila to Kathmandu and beyond, Chhath bridges regions and generations. Its observance in urban centers and abroad shows how cultural traditions can adapt while maintaining the festival's essence. The rituals connect younger generations with their heritage and ensure the continuity of cultural knowledge. The festival continues to adapt to modern contexts while maintaining its historical roots, ensuring that the traditions and responsibilities it embodies remain relevant for future generations.
The Holy Scriptures also talks about Chhath festival. Lord Sita had performed Chhath festival after Lord Rama came from Banvasa, and once Ram Rajya was established, Goddess Sita had performed Chhath for the well-being of Ram Rajya, for the well-being of the Ayodhya people. It's in Ramayana, Sita had performed Chhath, and in Mahabharata, we could see that Kunti and Pandavas, they had also performed Chhath.
Practices become culture, good practices become religion, and Chhath reflects a tradition that transcends boundaries, uniting communities across the Mithila region. In the flatlands where summer temperatures often exceed 40 degrees Celsius, the sun becomes both sustainer and foe. Yet, despite the intense heat, devotees endure fasting, prepare offerings, and perform rituals with unwavering discipline and reverence. In facing the sun in this way, they demonstrate resilience, faith, and a profound connection to nature, showing that devotion can persist even under the harshest conditions.
For centuries, the Kumail community of Nepal has lived closely tied to the earth, shaping clay, cultivating land, and sustaining a cultural identity rooted in indigenous skill, craft, and tradition. Recognized as one of Nepal's marginalized indigenous nationalities, the Kumails traditionally settle in the hilly regions and inner Tarai plains. Cultural practices and oral histories indicate that they have been part of Nepal's civilization since ancient times. As inhabitants of Nepal's fertile river valleys and plains, the Kumails have carried forward a deep-rooted tradition of earthenware craftsmanship, agriculture, and a rich cultural heritage that reflects centuries of resilience and adaptation. Their pottery has been more than household utility. It has been a marker of identity, livelihood, and cultural continuity. Today, as modern vessels replace handmade earthen vessels, the Kumails find themselves preserving not only a profession but a heritage passed down through generations. According to an ancient belief, clay work began at the time of creation when Prajapati, the son of Brahma, molded the first earthen vessel using Sudarshan Chakra of Lord Vishnu. The Sanskrit term Kumbhakar, meaning pot maker, gradually transformed, becoming Kumhar and eventually Kumal. Even today, pottery remains spiritually and culturally significant for the community. In Kumal settlements, soil is not just the ground beneath their feet. It is raw material, cultural memory, and a symbol of survival. The Kumal population is spread mainly across central Tarai districts of Nepal, namely across Lumbini, Gandaki, and Bagmati provinces. Traditionally, they rely on two main occupations, agriculture and pottery. Farms provided daily sustenance, while pottery supported household needs and served as a source of income. Community life historically revolved around extended family systems, with shared labor, collective participation in rituals, and a strong sense of belonging to ancestral land. Pottery for the Kumals is a detailed, multi-stage skill passed down through generations. The process begins with identifying the right soil. Black clay, the Kalo Matu, was traditionally preferred for its strength and texture. It was collected near riverbanks, ponds, and settled waterbeds. Among Tharu Kumals, this clay is also known as Kamaune Matu, meaning clay that earns. Clay is soaked, softened, and thoroughly kneaded. Using a tool called pasur, potters slice and cleanse the clay to remove impurities. In earlier times, bamboo tools were used instead of iron. The prepared clay is stored covered, maintaining moisture for shaping. The chakra or potter's wheel remains central to Kumal identity. Hands center the clay, fingers guide it, and experience shapes it. Tools like thap and pitani help refine form and smooth surface. Large vessels, water jars, grand pots, cooking pots, and ritual vessels were once part of every Nepali household, each bearing the touch of Kumal craftsmanship. Freshly formed pots are cut from the wheel with thread or leaf strips and set to dry, first in shade to prevent cracks, then under the sun. A reddish clay called Kabish Matu is applied for finish and strength. The firing structure, Ava or Auri, is built from wood, straw, husk, and cow dung. Pots are stacked carefully, forming a dome-like structure covered with hay and soil. The firing process takes up to 3 days. The Kumals maintain rich intangible heritage through customs, rituals, music, and dance. The Keli dance is one of the most distinctive cultural expressions of the Kumals. Traditionally performed by men dressed as women, it is associated with community celebrations and spiritual belief. The performance concludes with blessings for the household hosting the event. Marriage traditionally takes place within the community, though intercaste marriage, particularly with Magar communities, has become common.
Ada nen budi cira, dari opok kening budi cira.
Samdi fight is also popular in this culture, where fathers of bride and groom go through a physical battle as a part of entertainment. A child's naming ceremony called Nwaran takes place on the 9th day for daughters and 11th day for sons, where a young unmarried girl narrates the name referred by the priest. Gon Ponni, a ritual where the mother burns bathing used during childbirth, is followed by baths. The child is then named and welcomed.
बोलाउने नाम आशिष कुमार, देवताको नाम गोविन्द कुमार, मेरो नाम सन्तोष कुमार.
Grandmothers carry babies around the home, chasing the newborn with a catapult, symbolically granting strength and sealing belonging. That rites emphasize purity, remembrance, and respect. The eldest son, or the one performing final rites, often standing inside a fishing net, performs final rites reflecting links to water-based livelihood and spiritual symbolism. Among the many Kumal rituals, ancestral worship, Kul Puja is considered the most important. It is performed in remembrance of those deceased in the family and is also known as Pitri Puja. The Kul Puja honors ancestors annually, while the worship of Singh Devta, urn-shaped for his deities, highlights ties to nature and livestock protection. The Kumal people speak their own indigenous language, Kumal, which belongs to the Tibeto-Burman family. However, due to increasing influence of Nepali language and modernization, the use of Kumal language has been declining, and community efforts continue to revive it through cultural programs and schools. Most Kumals practice Hinduism, worshipping deities such as Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and local protective gods and goddesses. Ancestral worship and belief in nature spirits hold deep cultural importance. Traditional attire for men includes white clothing and the Dhaka topi, while women wear black blouses, traditional skirts, and red shawls, often adorned with local jewelry. With industrial materials such as aluminum, steel, and plastic replacing clay vessels, the demand for traditional pottery has sharply declined. Many Kumal families have moved to agriculture, labor, service work, or small businesses. Modern education and new employment opportunities are reshaping the choices of younger generations. Their hands do not merely shape clay, they sculpt culture, memory, and the foundation of Nepal's artistic soul. The Kumal community stands at a historic crossroads between tradition and modernity, memory and transition. Their identity is closely tied to clay, yet their future relies on adapting to changing socio-economic
landscapes. Their story is not only about pottery, but resilience of a people who shaped Nepal's cultural foundation long before industry and technology. The preservation of Kumail heritage is not a matter of nostalgia. It is a recognition of indigenous knowledge, cultural diversity, and history shaped by hands that turn earth into life. If the story of Nepal is one of civilizations formed by soil and river, then the Kumail legacy will always remain at its foundation.
Nepal commemorates 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah with national unity and tribute ceremonies. Nepali Congress launches a second special convention underway to shape party's future direction. 62% delegates endorse. Iran warns retaliation against US as nationwide protests escalate amid deadly government crackdown. Bushfires ravage southeast Australia, destroy 300 homes and buildings, prompt a state of emergency. And Nepal's women's cricket team beats USA by 4 wickets in the warm-up series ahead of the global qualifier. Good evening, I'm Vijata Bhandari and you're watching NTV World News Hour, coming to you live from Kathmandu at 2200 hours Nepal time. Now the news in detail. Nepal today celebrates the 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah, the monarch who unified modern Nepal, on the occasion of Prithvi Jayanti and the National Unity Day. A special ceremony was held at his statue outside of the west gate of Singha Darbar, where President Ramchandra Paudel, Vice President Ram Sahib Prasad Yadav, Prime Minister Sushila Karki, ministers and other leaders laid floral wreaths to honor the nation builder. Processions from across the city featuring national flags, portraits of King Shah and traditional bands converged at the statue. In Gorkha Shah's birthplace, special events were organized to mark the day, while the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party hosted a tea reception for the top leaders and dignitaries. King Shah, born in 1779 Bikram Sambat, ascended the throne at 20, led the unification campaign and laid the foundation for Nepal's sovereignty. Today, his legacy is remembered for promoting unity, national independence and the principles of good governance. More on this in our cover story. The Nepali Congress has officially begun a second special convention today at the Bhrukiti Mandap in Kathmandu. According to the party officials, around 62% of the delegates have signed in for the event. Speakers at the inauguration emphasized that the gathering aims to end internal factionalism that persists within the party despite the country's current challenges. Participants arrived from across the Kathmandu Valley with processions and cultural displays. Following the Gen Z movement, changing political dynamics have prompted calls to reform and advance the party, with 54% of the delegates submitting signatures in favor of the special convention. Party secretaries Gagan Kumar Thapa and Bishwa Prakash Sharma said that the convention is being held as per party statutes, since regular conventions were not conducted. Meanwhile, some party leaders are reportedly attempting to reconcile differing factions. The event saw processions and cultural displays from across the valley, with organizers claiming around 60% of the delegate participation nationwide. The special convention follows party bylaws requiring such a gathering due to the delays in holding the regular convention. More on this in our Issue of the Day segment later. Moving on, Iran has warned it will retaliate if attacked by the US as protesters defied a deadly government crackdown on Saturday night. Videos and eyewitness accounts appeared to show the government ramping up its response to the protests, which have spread to more than 100 cities and towns across every province in Iran. Medics at 2 hospitals have told media that more than 100 bodies had been brought in over a 2-day period. The nationwide death toll is feared to be far higher. The US has threatened to strike Iran over the killing of protesters. Iran's parliament speaker warned that if the US attacked, Israel, along with US military and shipping centers in the region, would become legitimate targets. In a video message on social media, Reza Pahlavi, the US-based son of Iran's ousted Shah, tells the protesters not to abandon the streets and that he will soon be by their side.
خیابانها را رها نکنید. قلب و روحم با شماست و میدانم که به زودی در کنار شما خواهم بود.
The protests, initially sparked by anger over the rising cost of living, have now become a movement against the theocratic system in place in Iran since the 1979 revolution and have already lasted 2 weeks. Moving on, 1 person has died and 300 homes and buildings have been destroyed in bushfires that have torn across Southeast Australia. The fires have raged in dozens of locations across the country for several days, mostly in the state of Victoria, but also in New South Wales, burning through land almost twice the size of Greater London. A state of emergency has been declared in Victoria as thousands of firefighters and more than 70 aircraft battled the blaze. Residents in more than a dozen communities have been advised to leave their homes. The authorities fear that the blazes, which are being fueled by very hot, dry and windy conditions, could burn for several weeks. In sports, the Nepali women's cricket team has secured its first win in the warm-up series ahead of the T20 Women's World Cup Global Qualifier, which will be held at home from January 18 to February 1st. At the Mulpani ground today, Nepal chased down a competitive target of 158 set by the United States, winning by 4 wickets. Nepal achieved the total in 19 overs, losing 6 wickets. Earlier, the team had lost to Scotland by 27 runs. The global qualifier features 10 nations, with the top 4 teams earning a place in the T20 Women's World Cup in England. Nepal is in Group B alongside Thailand, Scotland, the Netherlands and Zimbabwe. A party at a crossroads. In the side, the Nepali Congress Special Convention, where ideas clash and the future hangs in the balance. Who will shape the Nepal's oldest party next? More on this on our Issue of the Day. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Now to our cover story segment. I apologize now for the issue of the day segment. For only the second time in its more than 80-year history, Nepal's most influential political party, the Nepali Congress, has convened a special general convention. While the excitement around the event is somewhat subdued, it marks an unprecedented moment in the party's history, emerging from a bitter conflict between rebellious youth factions and the party's hardline leadership. Sabika Shrestha reports from Bhikuti Mandap.
The Special General Convention of Nepali Congress that kicked off in Kathmandu against the decision of the Work Execution Committee 2 weeks ago will enter the business end on Monday only. The Special General Convention, being held only for the second time in the 80-year-long history of the party, has backing of more than 54% General Convention representatives. Though the opening day only saw addresses from the party leaders who were univocal in demanding change in the leadership, the closed session scheduled for Monday will be crucial for the future of the party. Initiated by the two General Secretaries Gagan Thapa and Vishwaprakash Sarma, the Special General Convention has gradually got the backing from the leaders who were earlier guardians of the inception side. Prominent leaders from inception side including Binod Chaudhary, Dila Sangraula, Uday Samser Rana, Devendra Raj Karnel, Pushpa Bhushal, Gopal Man Shrestha, Arjun Narsingh Kesi and Prakash Man Singh were also seen in this special convention. Though the inception side leaders have not appeared or commented on the Special General Convention, they were eagerly watching the developments at Bhikuti Mandap. The Special General Convention comes at a politically sensitive time as parties prepare for upcoming elections. The establishment, led by party president Sher Bahadur Deuwa, said that it would weaken the party ahead of the elections. Supporters of the convention, on the other hand, argue that it is fully grounded in the party statute and will further strengthen the party as per the spirit of the recent Gen Z movement. From early morning, party cadres and delegates organized rallies and processions from multiple locations across the Kathmandu Valley. While it remains uncertain whether it will immediately lead to leadership changes, the outcome is widely seen as a critical test for party unity and the balance of power between the reformist youth faction and the long-dominant establishment camp. Another major question at the moment lies on what will happen if Monday's closed session officially announces a split in the party. Will that be accepted by the Election Commission that has almost finalized the closest list of parties for proportional election? The legalities and beyond do not seem to be the concern at the moment for the special convention organizers, who, despite claiming that the party will remain intact, are pushing for the change in the leadership. Sabika Shrestha with camera person Rasila Shrestha reporting for NTV World.
Speaking at the opening session, Nepali Congress General Secretary Gagan Kumar Thapa has said that the party's special convention is being held not for power struggles, but to debate ideas, values and principles. Speaking at the opening session, Thapa emphasized that the convention must represent the voices of all Nepalis frustrated with the status quo and reflect the members' desire to see a transformed Congress. He added that the convention aims to address long-standing party issues, though its final outcome remains uncertain. Thapa stressed that the direction of the Nepali Congress will be determined by the delegates' votes and efforts, underlining that the party belongs to living citizens who are not afraid to question the leadership. He also noted that he will respect any policy or leadership changes decided in the convention's closed sessions.
तिमीहरु बदलिनुपर्छ अब पार्टी जसरी चलेको छ ठीकठाक चलेको छैन तिम्रा निर्णयहरु ठीक थिएनन् तिमी चुनावमा एउटासँग मिलेर लड्ने सरकार अर्कोसँग मिलेर बनाउने तिमी सरकारमा जानका निम्ति जे पनि गर्ने सरकारबाट बाहिर बस्नु पर्यो भने सबै कुरा सकिएको जस्तो गर्ने तिम्रो चाल ढाल ठीक थिएन तिमी बदलिनुपर्छ पार्टीको सदस्यले हामीलाई यही कुरा भनेको पार्टीको बारेको धारणा पार्टी भनेको यहाँ कोही मालिक कोही दास छैन यहाँ सब बराबर छ पार्टीको सदस्यहरूले आफ्नो हकको दाबी गरेको हो नेपाली कांग्रेस पार्टी भित्र लामो समयदेखि जाम भएर बसेको लामो समयदेखि पार्टी भित्र पार्टी सञ्चालनको जुन तरिका जसरी रह्यो आजबाट यो भत्कियो अब कसैले यसलाई भोलि जोसुकै आओस् कसैले पनि अब पार्टीको सदस्यलाई हेप्न सक्दैन अब।
Nepali Congress General Secretary Bishwa Prakash Sharma has said that the party's special convention is not just about strengthening Congress, but about addressing the broader challenge of a nation growing weaker. Speaking at the opening session, Sharma emphasized that rebuilding the country requires more than repairing buildings. It requires healing divided minds. He called for the convention to adopt a new resolve, reflecting changing times and a transformed political climate. Sharma stressed that the Congress must adapt to this new environment to contribute to the nation building. He also urged Party President Sher Bahadur Deuba, who has served 5 terms as Prime Minister, not to pursue a 6th and to pave a way for a respectful and orderly transition.
मिडियाका क्यामेराका साथीहरूले खिचिरहनु भएको छ भने अहिले पनि हेर्नुस् जिउका त्यो यो जुन ताकत उपस्थित छ नि यो जन्मिदाखेरि कांग्रेस थियो होला हामी जन्मिदा कांग्रेस थियौ मर्दै गर्दा कांग्रेस भएर मर्ने छौं कांग्रेसलाई विभाजित गर्ने होइन हामी आगामी दिनमा कांग्रेसलाई इस्पात जस्तो बनाएर लिएर आउने छौं त्यो भन्नका लागि यो जमात आज यहाँनिर उपस्थित छ हामी कांग्रेसलाई टुक्र्याएर होइन हामी सिंगो कांग्रेसको नेतृत्व गर्ने गरी अघि बढ्छौं पार्टीको विशेष महाधिवेशनको बन्द सत्रले जे निर्णय लिनेछ त्यही निर्णय नै कांग्रेसको आगामी दिनको बाटो हुनेछ भन्ने कुरा म स्पष्ट गर्न चाहन्छु।
In this context, we asked delegates at the Nepali Congress Special Convention whether this event marks a make-or-break moment for the party. Here's what they had to say.
यो अहिलेको जनमानस देख्दाखेरि अब संस्थापन पक्ष भन्ने नै छैन जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई कांग्रेस एकै मात्रै छ कांग्रेसमा संस्थापन पक्ष र इतर पक्ष भन्ने अब आजको दिनबाट सकियो जस्तो लाग्छ मलाई
अब यो नेतृत्वले पार्टीले लिड गर्छ या पार्टीले के भन्छ भन्दा पनि आम जनताले के भन्छ पब्लिकले के भन्छ जो रियल कांग्रेसले के भन्छ भन्ने हो यो वैधानिकता आम पुपिलले गर्ने हो के जनताले गर्ने कांग्रेसले गर्ने वैधानिकतामा कि विधान त यो छैन भन्नु पर्यो उहाँहरूले हैन भन्दाखेरि के हो भने यसलाई लेजिटिमेसी दिनुपर्छ भन्ने हो।
After the changes movement, I think that Nepali Congress has come stronger with new point of view. What today's generation, today's Nepal needs, I think we will be working towards that more than following some old thoughts. We are not into that anymore, and today's Congress will obviously, definitely, will hear the voice of changes and come stronger.
51% भन्दा माथि संख्या पुग्ने बित्तिकै यो भिडले यो भेलाले जे निर्णय गर्छ त्यो चाहिँ सरकारले मान्ने नमान्ने होइन यो त कानुनको प्रक्रिया कुरा हो कानुनको लडाई हो अब पार्टी फुट्दैन किन फुट्दैन भने बहुमत योसँग हुन्छ यहीसँग सबै मान्छे आउँछ अब शेरबाजी पनि ठुलो नेता हो त्यसमा हामी व्यक्तिगत कुरा नगर्ने तर के चाहिँ हो भने उहाँले सहज स्वीकार्नु भन्ने बाध्यता छैन होइन भने यो भिड के सबै अन्जानको भिड हो त सबै लाटा हो त सबै मूर्ख हो त
जेनजीको आन्दोलनमा पनि त हाम्रो नेपाली कांग्रेस थियो नि त त्यही भएर त्यसको कारणले चाहिँ संस्थापक हाम्रो सरदय शेरबहादुर सभापतिज्यूलाई पनि म आग्रह गर्न चाहन्छु यसबाट हामीले मिलेर जानुपर्छ अहिलेको जुन परिस्थिति छ नि देशको परिस्थितिमा हामी कांग्रेस एकजुट हुन पर्छ भन्ने मेरो आफ्नो धारणा छ
यो नियमित हो यो हुनै पर्छ र अहिलेको अवस्थामा यो दोस्रो विशेष महाधिवेशन एकदमै आवश्यक छ विधि सम्मत नीति सम्मत भएको हुनाले यसले वैधानिकता पाउँछ आज तपाईको चाहिँ नै 54% महाधिवेशन प्रतिनिधिज्यूहरूको हस्ताक्षरबाट सुरु भएको यो आह्वान यो विशेष सभा आज 65% नाग्ने चाहिँ सो त हामी सबैले देखिरहेका छौं त्यसले गर्दा पूर्णता नपाउने भन्ने कुरै छैन पूर्णता पाउँछ अबको नयाँ नेतृत्व नयाँ रूपान्तरित नेपाली कांग्रेस बन्छ र नयाँ नेतृत्वमा युवा नेतृत्व हुन्छ।
In Kathmandu, while a special convention of the party is underway, leaders aligned with party head Sher Bahadur Deuba held a separate meeting at his residence. Deuba discussed with close aides the convention itself, potential legal and practical hurdles it could create, and the ways to maintain party unity. He chose not to attend the ongoing convention, instead convening the separate discussion at his residence. The meeting also focused on preparations ahead of the closed session scheduled to begin tomorrow as part of the special convention. Meanwhile, a gathering planned for youth and district-level party leaders today has been cancelled, according to the Nepali Congress. Those were the stories for our Issue of the Day segment. From Gorkha to Kathmandu, a nation remembers the king who dared to unite it all. What lessons does his legacy hold today? In our cover story, up next. Welcome back. You're watching NTV World News Hour. Nepal marks the 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah today, observed nationwide as National Unity Day. Leaders and citizens across the country paid tribute to the unification architect, celebrating his legacy of sovereignty, national identity and unity.
Nepal today celebrates the 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah, the architect of modern Nepal, observed nationwide as National Unity Day. At Singhadarbar, President Ramchandra Paudel led the tribute, laying the wreath at Shah's statue, joined by Vice President Ram Sahai Prasad Yadav, Prime Minister Sushila Karki, Chief Justice Prakash Man Singh Raut, National Assembly Chair Narayan Prasad Dahal, and senior officials. President Paudel reflected on Shah's enduring legacy, saying he built a modern, sovereign Nepal and established a shared national identity. He called on the citizens to pursue the happiness and prosperity of the people while preserving independence, territorial integrity, and unity. Across the country, Nepali Army retraced the historic Gorkha-Kathmandu unification route, while speeches, plays, documentaries, and poetry competitions celebrated Shah's vision. Soldiers in historical uniforms carried flags of Nepal's earliest military units, blending history with a call to national pride. In a nation grappling with political instability, corruption, economic challenges, and mass migration, the call for unity and nationalism resonates more than ever. For the younger generation, frustrated with prolonged political transitions and dwindling opportunities, National Unity Day has become a moment to reaffirm shared identity and collective pride. This year's upsurge in celebrations reflects a society eager to reconnect with its roots, embrace national pride, and channel collective energy toward progress.
Prime Minister Sushila Karki has participated in a tea reception hosted today by the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party or RPP on the occasion of the National Unity Day and Prithvi Jayanti. RPP Chairperson Rajendra Lingden, among other leaders, welcomed Prime Minister Karki. Minister for Communications and Information Technology Jagdish Kharel, leaders of different political parties, heads and representatives of diplomatic missions, and leaders of different sectors of the society were also present on this occasion. In the hill town of Gorkha, the site closely linked to Nepal's early political history, National Unity Day was marked with commemorative activities on Thursday. The occasion, observed on the birth anniversary of Prithvi Narayan Shah, saw ceremonies held across key heritage locations, including the Gorkha Darbar Complex and Thulo Angan. Participants gathered for official programs organized separately by the District Administration Office and the Rashtriya Prajatantra Party. Floral tributes were laid at the statue of Prithvi Narayan Shah within the palace premises as part of the day's observance. National Unity Day is marked annually to recall Nepal's historical journey towards political consolidation and shared national identity. architect, reflecting on his legacy of sovereignty, national identity and unity. To discuss the relevance of National Unity Day in today's Nepal, we are now joined live by Professor Dr. Purushottam Lochan Shrestha, a historian and culture expert. Professor Shrestha, thank you for joining us. Professor Shrestha, if you can hear me, why does Prithvi Narayan Shah's vision still matter in today's Nepal?
Nepali citizens remember because he laid the foundation of unification of Nepal, and so single strong nation was created.
Professor Shrestha, as National Unity Day celebrations fade, how can young Nepalis relate to Shah's legacy?
Your question is not clear. Please, sorry. Hello?
Dr. Shrestha, if you can hear me, as National Unity Day celebrations fade, how can young Nepalis still relate to Shah's legacy?
Yes, actually, Prithvi Narayan Shah, it was his expansion only. He can be considered as an expansionist warrior. His aim was to conquer Kathmandu Valley, which was known as Nepal Mandal or the Nepal. So, and tremendously, after he conquered Kathmandu Valley, then it was not only the political unification, but also was a cultural unification as well. We have so many examples to prove this fact. One example is that when he invaded Kantipur, the then kingdom, and on the festive day of Indra Jatra, he invaded Kathmandu Valley, Kantipur, and he conquered. On the next day, he continued the Indra Jatra festival. So it's a cultural unification. So every Nepali must remember Prithvi Narayan Shah, the unifier, the maker of the modern Nepal as well. And if he did lay the foundation of the unification, then we will be nowhere. Because after his unification champion, a strong and better Nepal was created.
Well, thank you for your time and insights into this matter, Dr. Shrestha.
Thank you so much.
Well, that was Dr. Shrestha giving us his insights on the occasion of National Unity Day today. Well, that wraps up our cover story of the day. Moving on, Nepal Communist Party leader Pushpa Kamal Dahal has highlighted that the transformation of his party from the Maoist into the current NCP. Addressing the Gen Z Awakening and Cultural Program organized by the party's Red Force at the central office in Parisdara, Dahal praised the Red Force for breaking confusion during difficult times and playing a key role in unifying the party. He emphasized that the Red Force will also have an important role in the upcoming elections and post-election period. Daha recalled that the NCP was formed by merging 17 constituent groups, and he underlined that the party's activities will continue to focus on socialist movements and the welfare of society. Several candidates from the Rashtriya Swatantra Party who were listed under the proportional representation system have announced that they are withdrawing their candidacies. Among them are Sirzana Oli Sirzu, Mahendra Lawati, Dr. Arniko Pandey, Tashi Sherpa, Trishala Gurung, Asif Sa, Sachin Thakal, Milan Limbu, Sudesh Gurung, Mohana Ansari, Sajan Bika, and the party's Deputy General Secretary Bipin Kumar Acharya. While these announcements have been made through social media and various news outlets, the Election Commission has clarified that a candidate's withdrawal will only be official once the proper procedures are completed with the Commission. The Commission has also outlined that political parties have until the 11th of January to finalize their list, and candidates wishing to withdraw can submit their applications for withdrawal on the 12th. These developments are part of the ongoing adjustments as parties finalize their proportional representation nominations ahead of the elections. Moving on, dense fog and dropping temperatures are affecting daily life in Nepal's Tarai Madhesh region. Fog is particularly thick in the early mornings and evenings, causing severe disruptions to both road and air travel. Some flights, especially in the western Tarai, have faced delays due to the reduced visibility, though midday flights are operating normally. Schools in several districts have been closed as the cold wave and fog make mornings and evenings particularly harsh. Meteorologists say while conditions are gradually improving, no significant rainfall is expected in the immediate future.
हुन जान्छ र 2 दिन जस्तो अस्ति एक दिन 3-4 वटा जहाज यहाँ आएरै भैरवा विमानस्थल खुलेको थियो तर अवतरण गर्न नसकेर फर्के र सुरुमा पुसको पहिलो हप्तामा पनि 2 वटा जति उडान यहाँ आएर फर्केका थिए
जनकपुर वीरगञ्ज र भैरवामा चाहिँ अलिकति चाहिँ हुस्सुकुरो देखेको छ बिहानको समयमा अहिलेसम्म देखेको छ भने दिउँसो चाहिँ खुलेको अवस्था छ अझै एक हप्ता चाहिँ त्यस्तो वर्षा हुने कुनै पनि प्रणाली छैन त्यसले गर्दाखेरि अलिकति हिउँदयाम चाहिँ सुक्खा नै विगतको वर्षदेखि नै अलि सुक्खा एउटा औषध वर्षा हुनु पर्यो त्यो चाहिँ वर्षा भएको अवस्था छ
Dense fog is also slowing down road traffic, increasing the risk of accidents and adding to the difficulties faced by commuters across the region. Moving on, in a historic move for Nepal's rivers, the Sati Ghat stretch of the Karnali River has been declared the country's first ever fish sanctuary, aiming to protect endangered aquatic species and secure the livelihoods of traditional fishing communities. A report.
In a landmark step toward aquatic biodiversity conservation in Nepal, the Sati Ghat area of the Karnali River has been declared the country's first ever fish sanctuary. The Karnali River, which forms the natural boundary between Bardia and Kailali districts in western Nepal, is considered one of the most important river systems for freshwater biodiversity in the country. The Karnali River is home to around 197 recorded fish species and provides a vital habitat for the breeding of indigenous and endangered aquatic species, making it a nationally significant conservation area. It also provides critical habitat for nationally protected aquatic species such as the Gangetic dolphin, otter, and the gharial crocodiles. The fish sanctuary covers an area of approximately 4 square kilometers around the Sati Ghat bridge and was jointly declared by Rajapur municipality of Bardia and Tikapur municipality of Kailali. In recent years, Nepal's river ecosystems have faced increasing pressure due to riverbed excavation, the use of large and illegal fishing nets, and destructive fishing practices involving use of poison and electric current. The country has developed policies like the National National Fisheries Development Policy 2022 aligning with biodiversity conservation. Nepal also holds a significant position in biodiversity, consistently ranking around 49th in the world for overall species richness. Despite these activities, continuous decline in fish population and other species has been on decline in the Karnali River. The decline has also threatened the traditional livelihoods of indigenous communities such as the Sonaha and Raji. By restricting indiscriminate fishing and other harmful activities, the sanctuary is expected to contribute significantly to the conservation of Nepal's freshwater ecosystems. Rosina Rai with the local correspondent Dil Prakash Gautam, Bardia, Nepal.
An ophthalmologist by profession, Dr. Sabina Shrestha is hosting her solo art exhibition entitled Bloom of the Inner Self at the Nepal Art Council in Babar Mahal. This is the second solo exhibition of Dr. Shrestha, whose paintings reflect nature, life and other aspects of human life. The exhibition, running till January 14, has paintings that reflect a mixture of emotions, abstracts and nature with new perspective. Artist Dr. Shrestha informed that the proceeds of the exhibition will be handed over to charity working in social transformation. With this, it's time to take a look into our headlines once again. Nepal commemorates 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah with national unity and tribute ceremonies. Nepali Congress launches second special convention underway to shape party's future direction. 62% delegates endorse. Iran warns retaliation against US as nationwide protests escalate amid deadly government crackdown. Bushfires ravage southeast Australia, destroy 300 homes and buildings, prompt state of emergency. And Nepal women's cricket team beats USA by 4 wickets in warm-up series ahead of global qualifiers. The US and its partner forces have carried out large-scale strikes against Islamic State group targets in Syria, according to the US Central Command or CENTCOM. US President Donald Trump directed the strikes on Saturday, which are part of Operation Hawkeye Strike, in retaliation to the IS's deadly attack on US forces in Syria on the 13th of December, according to the CENTCOM. The strikes were conducted in an effort to combat terrorism and protect US and partner forces in the region. The officials added that the aircraft, including F-15Es, A-10s, AC-130Js, MQ-9s and Jordanian F-16s, had taken part in the strikes. The location of the strikes and the extent of any casualties is not yet clear. Syria has been in a fragile state since the fall of President Bashar al-Assad's regime in December of 2024, which effectively ended a civil war that had ravaged the country for the last 13 years. Ukrainian emergency services are responding to overnight Russian drone strikes in the Kharkiv region. In Movenchani village, 4 people were injured as fires broke out across 150 square meters of the residential area. Rescue teams, sappers, medics and the local fire brigade are working to contain the flames and assess damage to the homes. Meanwhile, in Kyiv, residents are sheltering in emergency heating tents after the strikes damaged critical infrastructure, leaving thousands without power, heat and water. Authorities report that about 400 people a day are using heating points in the Desnyansky district to stay warm, charge devices and receive the food. President Zelensky says the situation remains difficult nationwide, with repair crews working around the clock to restore the essential services. At least 6 persons have been killed after a gas cylinder explosion ripped through a house in a predominantly Christian neighborhood of Pakistan's capital, Islamabad, according to the authorities. The blast destroyed parts of the residence and damaged nearby structures, prompting an emergency response from rescue workers, police and security personnel. Teams were seen inspecting the rubble and searching the area to ensure no additional victims were trapped. Officials said that the explosion was caused by a gas cylinder, though investigations are underway to determine the exact circumstances. The injured were taken to nearby hospitals for treatment. The incident has renewed concerns over household gas safety in densely populated residential areas of Islamabad. A quick break before we take a look into the business updates.
Nepal is tightening controls on cash transactions as part of efforts to formalize its economy and improve financial transparency. From January 15, Nepal will cap cash transactions at around $3,700. The rule was issued by Nepal Rashtra Bank, the country's central bank, under its unified directive. Any payment above the limit must be made via account payee check or direct transfer to a bank account. Checks issued in the name of companies, institutions, or offices must also be account payee only. The central bank said the rule will not affect wage payments for workers in priority sectors such as hydropower, roads and telecommunications, or payments related to government revenue, project supplies, court deposits, or pension distribution. The move aligns Nepal with similar measures in other emerging economies aimed at reducing cash use, strengthening oversight, and expanding the formal banking system. China's clean energy transition is creating new cost pressures for rural households, raising concerns about the long-term sustainability of subsidy-driven environmental policies. Nearly a decade after China began replacing coal heating with natural gas to curb winter smog, villages in northern Hebei province are struggling with rising heating costs. Most government gas subsidies have now ended, leaving households to pay market prices. Residents say annual heating bills can reach about $1,000, a heavy burden for rural incomes. Some families are reducing heating use to cut costs, signaling potential demand weakness for residential natural gas. The situation highlights broader risks for China's energy transition, including policy backlash, uneven cost sharing, and pressure on household consumption. For investors and energy markets, the case underscores uncertainty over future gas demand and the durability of environmental policies once subsidies are withdrawn. China's experience in Hebei shows a global challenge, balancing environmental goals with affordability, a key issue as countries accelerate their shift away from coal. Vietnam reports improving employment conditions as it strengthens labor support for businesses. In 2025, over 2 million people received career counseling and job placement support. More than 21,700 workers completed vocational training, while nearly 795,000 applied for unemployment benefits. Authorities say these measures helped stabilize the workforce, especially in industrial zones, preventing labor shortages. In 2026, Vietnam will continue enforcing its revised law on employment and occupational safety policies to support workforce productivity and business confidence. Workforce stability and training in Vietnam remain key indicators for international investors in the country's manufacturing and industrial sectors. The U.S. is urging global partners to reduce reliance on China for critical minerals vital for defense, batteries, and renewable energy. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent is hosting finance ministers from the G7, the EU, Australia, India, South Korea, and Mexico, countries that account for 60% of global demand for critical minerals. China currently dominates the supply chain, refining 47% to 87% of copper, lithium, cobalt, graphite, and rare earths. Bessent is calling for faster action to secure alternative sources and strengthen supply chains. The U.S. has already signed a deal with Australia, creating an $8.5 billion project pipeline for rare earths and lithium, and is exploring partnerships with other producers. Officials stress that progress has been made, but supply risks remain.
Time now for sports update. Nepal has announced a 35-member probable squad for the SAF Under-19 Women's Championship, scheduled in Pokhara from January 31st to February 7th. Today, head coach Suman Shrestha revealed the squad selected after a two-day trial held on Sunday and Monday, which narrowed 49 players for the second phase. The preliminary team includes players from the national under-17 and under-20 teams, as well as top performers from the last September's ANFA National League qualifiers. Key players named for the third consecutive Upper Age SAF Championship include attacking midfielder Senu Pariyar, forward Barsha Oli, and centre-back Maya Maske. Nepal has previously hosted the Senior SAF Women's Championship 3 times and the lower age group once. This will be the first time the country hosts the upper age group tournament. Now the weather update from across Nepal first and then from across the world. Before wrapping up, here's a look into the top stories once again. Nepal commemorates 304th birth anniversary of King Prithvi Narayan Shah with national unity and tribute ceremonies. Nepali Congress launches a second special convention underway to shape party's future direction. 62% delegates endorse. Iran warns retaliation against US as nationwide protests escalate amid deadly government crackdown. Bushfires ravage Southeast Australia, destroy 300 homes and buildings, prompt state of emergency. And Nepal's women's cricket team beats USA by 4 wickets in warm-up series ahead of global qualifier. That is all for the moment. Do join us for our social media and get the latest updates from our official website at nepaltelevision.com. I'm Vijayata Pandari. Thank you for watching. Good night.